Chapter 25-21. What would Gongsun He choose? In the 8 people's view, since they had already done this, as long as Gongsun He wasn't a fool, he would definitely retreat. Gongsun He join us? They threw out an olive branch, hoping that Gongsun He would join them. In the end, unless it was absolutely necessary, the 8 people were absolutely unwilling to completely fall out with Gongsun He. The 9 people had gradually discovered that if the 12 rulers of the starry sky attacked them one day, then the 9 of them might be able to escape this calamity by working together. Gongsun He's expression changed again and again. Since he had come out, he had already expected this outcome. Even if I die, I'll drag the 8 of you down with me. Gongsun He's meaning was very clear. The 8 people weren't fools. Of course, they understood the meaning of Gongsun He's words. The 8 people's faces were very gloomy because they had never imagined that Gongsun He would choose to abandon them in the end and choose Longao. Longao smiled. Gongsun He, I'll make friends with you. Gongsun He came to Longao's side, looked coldly at the 8 people opposite him, and said, "You want to seal me? Let's see what price you'll pay." From the beginning to the end, Longao had never doubted Gongsun He. But the result? Just when Longao wasn't paying attention, Gongsun He suddenly sneered and directly attacked Longao. His speed was so fast that Longao wasn't prepared at all. In addition, he didn't expect that Gongsun He would attack him, so he was hit directly. What did a full-force attack from a half-step ruler of the starry sky mean? There was a loud bang. Longao's body was directly sent flying, like a kite with a broken string. Had he died? Seeing Longao's body fly away, the 8 people were extremely excited. If they had attacked Longao head-on, it would have been really difficult to deal with Longao. In any case, Longao still had a heaven-defying starry sky divine tool. If Longao hid in the starry sky divine tool, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They had thought of this. After a discussion, the 9 people finally came up with the idea of Gongsun He's sneak attack. Because if they succeeded, not only would Longao die, but all the treasures and secrets in his hands would also belong to them. Gongsun He didn't agree at first because he was afraid that Longao's treasures would belong to the other 8 people. Gongsun He wouldn't then. After thinking it over and over again, Sun He finally agreed. Gongsun He felt a little guilty, but in the vast starry skies, it was either you die or I die. This sort of thing was just a matter of time. Die 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 dies die 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 die. This was without a doubt. But the situation was completely different now. Longao's primal chaos seal, after devouring the power of primal chaos, had already evolved into a primal chaos 9-colored lotus, and had also reproduced 9 lives. Die. Longao had successfully integrated with the chaotic 9-colored lotus. In other words, Longao now had 9 lives. Unless one could destroy the chaotic 9-colored lotus at the same time, Longao would not die. Even so, it was unavoidable for him to be injured after suffering such a heavy blow. Longao endured the pain in his body. Even now, he still felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had the 9-colored lotus. Otherwise, he would have died. Gongsun He. Longao's voice was extremely cold, because he really didn't expect that Gongsun He would suddenly attack him. He had just doubted whether it was worth it for Gongsun He to fall out with 8 half-step starry sky rulers for him. But now, it seemed that Gongsun He didn't fall out with the 8 people at all. It was just a trick played by the 9 people. What a shameless sneak attack. Longao didn't die? Seeing Longao stand up again, no matter if it was the 8 people or Gongsun He, they were all completely stunned. The 8 of them knew very well what Gongsun He's powerful strike meant. Especially Gongsun He. Gongsun He was well aware of his strength. He had used his secret realm in that attack. Not to mention Longao, even a peak starry sky immortal expert wouldn't be able to withstand it. Once hit, death was certain. How did Longao withstand it? They couldn't figure it out. They really couldn't figure it out. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that Longao could survive Gongsun He's attack. Longao, how did you do it? The 9 people were almost certain that Longao wouldn't be able to do it under normal circumstances. If that was the case, the only explanation was that Longao must have a heaven-defying starry sky divine weapon. Otherwise, Longao would have gone to see the King of Hell. What kind of starry sky divine weapon was it? The more it was so, the more greedy the 9 people became. They didn't expect Longao to have so many heaven-defying starry sky divine weapons. Whether it was a starry sky divine weapon or a defensive starry sky divine weapon, it was something they yearned for even in their dreams. They couldn't wait to get all the starry sky divine weapons in Longao's hands. Longao was already very weak. If the 9 people continuously attacked him, then even if he had the protection of the primal chaos 9-colored lotus, there would only be one result in the end, and that was to be killed by the continuous attacks of the 9 people. This was without a doubt. However, he absolutely couldn't leave at this time. Otherwise, he would definitely be attacked by the 9 people. Longao was looking for an opportunity. The surrounding space had been sealed by the 9 half-step starry sky rulers. He couldn't step into the primal chaos palace at all. Although no one could stop him from entering the primal chaos palace under normal circumstances, there were special circumstances. For example, the 9 half-step starry sky rulers joined forces and used 9 secret realms. Longao didn't try because he knew that even if he tried, he wouldn't be able to step into the primal chaos palace under such circumstances. Instead of wasting time, why waste time? Seeing Longao not speaking, the 9 people had already guessed that although Longao didn't die immediately after taking a blow from Gongsun he must have suffered serious injuries. Moreover, the 9 of them had used 9 secret realms to seal this space. It was impossible for Longao to enter the starry sky divine weapon. Thinking of this, the 9 people became very excited and slowly approached Longao. The 9 of them still did not dare to make a move immediately. Because in the end, the 9 of them still did not have full confidence that they could hit the target with one strike. The 9 of them were very clear that if Longao ran away this time, the 9 of them could completely commit suicide. In the eyes of the 9 people, as long as they were careful, Longao would definitely die this time. Gongsun he said at this time, the winner is king and the loser is a bandit. Longao, since you lost, you should admit defeat. Chapter 25-22. He snorted coldly. With regards to Gongsun Longao really wished to tear him into pieces. He thought that Gongsun was sincere in helping him, but he never thought that Gongsun would sneak attack him from behind. Fortunately, he had the chaotic 9-colored lotus. Otherwise, he would have died without a doubt. Gongsun I'll pay you back double for what you did today. Do you think you'll have a future? Since things had come to this, Gongsun last trace of guilt was gone. The 9 of them found it a little funny. Things had already come to this. If Longao could still escape, they could also commit suicide. Longao was not only seriously injured, but also unable to step into the starry sky divine artifact because of their joint blockade. It could be said that Longao would die without a doubt. They didn't want to continue talking nonsense, so they had to end the battle quickly. The 9 people slowly approached Longao, getting closer and closer. At this moment, Longao's face was very solemn. Because he was seriously injured, he might not even be able to defeat them in a one-on-one fight, let alone one against 9. Kill. The 9 people rose at the same time and rushed toward Longao. It was a close call, at the moment of life and death. Just as Longao was preparing to take it head-on, 4 figures suddenly descended. One of them, a middle-aged man, struck out with his palm. In a situation where he was fighting against 9 people, the middle-aged man directly repelled all 9 of them. Whether it was the 9 half-step starry sky rulers or Longao, they were completely shocked when they saw the middle-aged man in front of them. In the entire vast starry sky, only the 12 starry sky rulers had such powerful strength. Was the middle-aged man a starry sky ruler? That was complete nonsense. If the middle-aged man was a starry sky ruler, he couldn't be a nobody. Especially when the 9 people didn't know that such a person existed in the vast starry sky. Who are you? Why are you interfering in our matter? The 9 people's faces were very gloomy, as ugly as they could be. The middle-aged man's strength was too strong. Even if the 9 of them joined forces, they might not be a match for him, let alone one-on-one. Yun Qian. Looking at Yun Qian among the 4, Longao was very surprised. It seemed that his guess was right. The force behind Yun Qian was really terrifying. The strength of the middle-aged man alone was enough to show disdain for the vast starry sky. Although he didn't want to admit it, the fact was in front of him. If there was no accident, the middle-aged man should be a ruler of the starry sky. As for whether the middle-aged man had grasped chaotic force, that was still unknown. Scram. Without wasting any time, the middle-aged man replied with a single word. If anyone else dared to do so, the 9 of them would have already made their move. What kind of joke was this? These 9 people were genuine half-step starry sky rulers. In the vast starry sky, apart from starry sky rulers, who would dare to provoke these 9 people like this? In the vast starry sky, strength reigned supreme. With strength, one could look down on everything. Without strength, one could only passively take a beating. Yun Lu's strength was placed there. The 9 people dared to be indignant but did not dare to speak. Because they did not know what kind of relationship the middle-aged man in front of them had with Longao. If the middle-aged man attacked, would the 9 of them be able to resist him? He was unwilling to accept this. He was really unwilling to accept this. This time, they had trapped Longao with great difficulty. As long as the 4 middle-aged men did not appear, Longao would undoubtedly die this time. If they left like this, it would not be so easy to find another opportunity in the future. Leave? Or stay? The 9 people looked at each other and saw deep helplessness and anger in each other's eyes. In the end, they had no choice but to leave. In the end, the 9 of them were afraid of the middle-aged man. They did not have full confidence that they could kill the middle-aged man. It was better to be safe than sorry. If the 9 of them could not kill the middle-aged man and were killed by him instead, the loss would outweigh the gain. As the 9 people left, Yun Lu turned around and said with a smile, "Longao, we finally meet? How should I address Senior?" Longao, of course, had already guessed that the middle-aged man in front of him must be related to Yun Qian. As for what kind of relationship, it was unknown. "You can call me Uncle Yun." Uncle Yun? Longao already knew that the so-called Uncle Yun in front of him was Yun Qian's father. As for Uncle Yun's name, Yun Qian had already told Longao through her spiritual sense. "Uncle Yun, thank you for saving me this time." Waving his hand, Yun Lu said carelessly, "You even gave up the wind and thunder chaos steel, and gave it to Qian. Just this friendship alone is hard to come by. I should properly thank you." Everyone knew the value of the chaos steel. In the vast starry sky, the temptation of the starry sky was very great. Not to mention others, even the 12 people who had already become rulers of the starry sky would not easily give up upon encountering a chaos steel. Longao smiled and did not care about this matter. "Are you okay?" Yun Qian was very worried. She didn't know why her father didn't kill the 9 people. Others might not know her father's strength, but she was very clear. With her father's strength, it shouldn't be difficult for him to kill the 9 people. Even if the 9 people had the protection of the secret realm and could not be truly killed, with her father's strength, it would be a matter of minutes for him to suppress the 9 people. However, since her father did not say much, Yun Qian did not ask. As for the 9 people injuring Longao, she could not let it go so easily. Killing intent surged in Yun Qian's heart. As long as she had the chance, she would not hesitate to kill the 9 people. I'm fine. I will recover after a little rest. Longao's injuries looked very serious, but in reality, it was not a big problem. With the protection of the Chaos Nine-colored lotus, he could not die. Even so, Longao was still a little scared. If it were not for the Chaos Nine-colored lotus, he would have been killed by Gong Sun He. Even so, Yunqian was still very worried. Yunlu smiled and said, "It's good that you are fine. Longao, we still have things to do. Later, I would like to invite you to my race as a guest. Would you be willing to come?" I couldn't ask for more. Longao was very curious about the race behind Yunqian because Yunlu was so strong. Just thinking about it, he knew how strong the race behind the two of them was. It could even surpass the peak of the human race. The 6 major races were the human race, the dragon race, the underworld race, the rat race, the slaughter race, and the mysterious race. Longao still could not think of which of the 6 races was so strong because none of the 6 races had a ruler of the starry sky. After all, the 12 rulers of the starry sky were not the peak of the human race. Chapter 25-23. After exchanging a few words, Yunlu brought Yunqian and left. Longao did not hesitate at all. After all, he was not sure if the 9 of them had left. Within the Chaos Palace, Longao finally heaved a sigh of relief. Thankfully, Yunlu and Yunqian had arrived in time. Otherwise, he might not have been able to leave this place alive. There was no anger. Longao was not angry at Gongsun He's sneak attack at all. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself. He had chosen to believe Gongsun He. He could not blame anyone else. If he did not take revenge, he would be a hypocrite. Longao clenched his fists tightly. After this ambush, his relationship with the 9 of them had reached a point where it was either you die or I die. It could be said that they were like fire and water. He did not leave the Chaos Palace. Sitting on the ground, Longao began to cultivate quietly. Speaking of his own strength, Longao was as depressed as he could be. After 200 years, his cultivation base had yet to break through from Star Sky Legend to Star Sky Immortal. If this was in the past, it would have been impossible. Based on his previous cultivation speed, he believed that he would be able to break through in 200 years. After devouring the mysterious energy of the Chaos Palace twice, he had improved tremendously. However, after so many years, the mysterious energy of the Chaos Palace had appeared a few times, but he had no way of devouring it. What was going on? If his cultivation base could reach Star Sky Immortal, even if he could not kill a half-step Star Sky ruler, he would not be in such a passive state. If his cultivation base could break through the limits of Star Sky Immortal, he would not have to fear even a half-step Star Sky ruler. The half-step Star Sky ruler had a secret ground to protect him. However, he had the Chaos Axe and the Chaos Nine-colored lotus. Longao's injuries were severe. However, with the protection of the Chaos Nine-colored lotus, no matter how severe the injuries were, it did not matter. For dozens of days, Longao did not leave the Chaos Palace at all. His injuries healed smoothly. At this moment, a terrifying mysterious energy was released from the Chaos Palace. Ha! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Longao was extremely excited when he sensed the mysterious energy that had suddenly been released from the Chaos Palace. The previous 2 times, he had made breakthroughs in his cultivation because he had devoured the mysterious energy. If he could continue devouring the mysterious force, he might be able to break through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, or even the peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm. Devour. Without the slightest hesitation, Longao immediately began to devour. But what was the result? Based on the results of the previous 2 times, as long as he could successfully devour the mysterious power, there was no doubt that he could smoothly break through to the Star Sky Legend realm. At the very least, he could reach the Star Sky Immortal Realm, or even the peak Star Sky Immortal Realm. He felt helpless. Longao let out a deep sigh. Originally, he was full of confidence that he could use the mysterious energy to make a breakthrough. However, he never expected that no matter how much he devoured the mysterious energy, he would still be unable to make a breakthrough. His body was like a bottomless pit that could never be filled. What was going on? Such a situation had never happened before. Could it be because? Seemingly thinking of something, Longao's expression suddenly changed. His physique was very special. He needed to devour a lot of energy to have a chance to make a breakthrough. Even the mysterious energy couldn't fill his body. It seemed that it would be difficult for him to successfully make a breakthrough this time. His expression turned ugly. The mysterious energy had only appeared for a few hours before it disappeared without a trace. Shaking his head helplessly, Longao didn't continue to dwell on it, because he knew very well that his realm must be stuck at the Star Sky Legend realm. Who knew when he would be able to make a breakthrough? After confirming that there was no one outside, Longao left the Chaos Palace. Stretching his body, he felt that he had just walked through the gates of hell. It seemed that it was time for him to make a move. Longao had always been a vengeful person. This time, he was almost killed by 9 people. If he didn't take revenge, he would feel sorry for himself. This was the territory of the third plane. Teleporting, Longao's figure disappeared without a trace. The third Starry Sky Empire. Inside the Grand Hall, there were only 2 people in the hall. One was Gongsun He, and the other was Gongsun Ao. Now, the 2 were very depressed. They thought that they would succeed in killing Longao, but they never imagined that a mysterious expert would appear halfway and scare away 9 half-step Star Sky rulers. Ancestor, if I'm not mistaken, the person who forced you and the other 8 seniors to retreat should be a Star Sky ruler. Although he didn't want to admit it, the truth was in front of him. He had to believe it. It seems that as we guessed, there are more than 12 Chaos Stone Tablets in the vast universe. The previous 12 Chaos Stone Tablets are the best example. It seems that the universe is still very mysterious. We are just frogs at the bottom of a well. Gongsun Ao, of course, knew what the ancestor meant. He originally thought that there were only 12 Star Sky rulers in the vast universe. He didn't expect that there were other Chaos Stone Tablets in addition to the 12 Star Sky rulers. He believed that even the 12 Star Sky rulers didn't know about this, let alone the 9 of them. However, it was reasonable when he thought about it. The universe was so vast and boundless that even they couldn't reach the end of it. If that was the case, no one would know how many secrets there were in the vast universe. To be able to repel 9 half-step Star Sky rulers in one move, there was no doubt that the other party was the so-called Star Sky ruler. Ancestor, we didn't succeed in killing Longao this time. If there are no accidents, Longao will definitely not let this matter rest. We certainly don't fear him in a head-on confrontation, but if he attacks us secretly, we will be in big trouble. Although Longao was only a Star Sky legend, he was able to kill Star Sky immortal experts. If he launched a sneak attack, no one in the entire empire could resist Longao's attack except for himself and the ancestor. If that happened, it would be too troublesome for the empire's foundation. They must get rid of Longao as soon as possible, but Longao had a heaven-defying Star Sky God tool. If they didn't succeed in killing Longao before, Gongsun Ao believed that Longao would be more careful. It would be many times more difficult to seize the opportunity in the future. How could Gongsun He not know about Gongsun Ao's worries? He also felt helpless in his heart, but he didn't have a good solution in this situation. Gongsun He, long time no see. How have you been? Chapter 25-24. Longao? Looking at the sudden appearance of this young man, be it Gongsun He or Gongsun Ao, both of them were completely flabbergasted. Even though both of them had guessed that Longao would definitely not let this matter rest and would definitely come forth, they had not expected him to arrive this quickly. Longao, what do you want? If they were to say that they were not wary, they would definitely be lying. If it were a head-on confrontation, they would definitely not be afraid. What they were afraid of was Longao's sneak attacks. If that were the case, things would really get troublesome. How could Longao not know about the worries in their hearts? He snorted coldly. Looking at both of them with contempt, he said coldly, Gongsun He, I will definitely settle everything with you in the future. The grudge between you and me will either end with you dead or I dead. Either you die or I die. Longao's attitude was clear. He would not rest until one of them was dead. I'll accompany you any time. Now that things had come to this, Gongsun He did not think that there would be any way for this matter to be resolved. As a half-step ruler of the stars, other than the other 12 rulers of the stars, he did not seem to be afraid of anyone. Longao, other than sneak attacks and assassinations, do you dare to fight me head-on? Ha 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 ha. Longao did not reply. Along with his laughter, his figure disappeared without a trace. Gongsun Ao's face was grim as he said sternly, Old Master, seems like Longao will definitely not let this matter rest. If we don't get rid of him as soon as possible, I'm afraid he will use all sorts of methods to deal with the people of our empire. Regarding this point, Gongsun He was extremely helpless as well. Longao's strength was definitely not as good as them, but Longao had a heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool in his hands. Even they couldn't lock onto this Starry Sky Divine tool, which was the most troublesome thing for them. It was also because of this that he did not do anything to stop Longao from appearing earlier on. He knew clearly that even if he did, he would not be able to hold Longao back. He would only be wasting time. He felt helpless. As a half-step Starry Sky ruler, he couldn't stop a puny Starry Sky legend. If news of this spread, no one would believe it. 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers working together failed to kill Longao. Gongsun He and Gongsun Ao didn't say anything. They just sat there helplessly. The reason why Longao didn't make a move was because he didn't have the slightest confidence that he could kill Gongsun He. If his cultivation base could break through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, he might have a chance to kill Gongsun He, but now it seemed a little ridiculous. The third plane. Longao did not leave the third Starry Sky Empire but stayed for the time being. There was no sneak attack. There was no assassination. Now, Longao was openly killing people. Unless he met Gongsun He or Gongsun Ao, no one in the entire third Starry Sky Empire was a match for him. He could kill whoever he wanted. In just a few short hours, with Longao's powerful strength, he had killed tens of thousands of people, including Starry Sky Legends and Starry Sky Mighty. At this rate, the third Starry Sky Empire would suffer heavy losses in just a few months. Gongsun He and Gongsun Ao weren't surprised by Longao's actions because they had almost guessed it. It would be strange if Longao chose to give up so easily. Even if they knew they couldn't deal with it. Not to mention Longao's speed, just the Starry Sky Spirit artifact in Longao's possession made them unable to do anything. In the main hall, Gongsun Ao was very angry and said angrily, Ancestor, Longao is obviously provoking our empire. If this continues, not only will our empire's strength suffer heavy losses, but it will also bring us endless negative effects. How could Gongsun He not know about Gongsun Ao's worries? He sighed deeply in his heart. Even when facing the other 8 half-step Starry Sky rulers, he didn't feel so powerless. Now that he was facing Longao, he couldn't do anything. It was a shame, a great shame. Tell everyone to avoid him if possible. Avoid him if possible. As one of the 9 great Starry Sky Empires, the third Starry Sky Empire was the most powerful Starry Sky Empire in the vast Starry Sky, and it also had a half-step Starry Sky ruler. No one dared to provoke such a super strength. Longao was also a weirdo. He was fearless and didn't take Gongsun He and the third Starry Sky Empire seriously at all. In the entire vast starry sky, apart from the 12 starry sky rulers, perhaps only Longao dared to do this. Ancestor, are we really going to sit and wait for death? Gongsun Ao couldn't figure out why the ancestor chose to sit and wait for death. If this continued, it wouldn't be a good idea for the empire. I have already contacted the other 8 people. This time, Longao won't leave alive. Gongsun he knew very well that he couldn't trap Longao with his strength alone, let alone kill him. According to the current situation, only by joining forces with the other 8 half-step starry sky rulers could they successfully trap Longao. So that's how it was. Gongsun Ao was overjoyed. Of course, he knew what the ancestor meant. If the 9 half-step starry sky rulers joined forces, it would be more than enough to deal with a single Longao. Previously, they had almost killed Longao. If it weren't for Qing Yaojin, Longao would have died by now. If there was a first time, then there would be a second time. If the 9 of them couldn't kill Longao, then in the entire vast starry sky, perhaps only the 12 starry sky rulers could kill Longao. Dozens of minutes later, the other 8 people all arrived smoothly. Bai Jing said straightforwardly, Longao really doesn't know what's good for him. He already ran away before, but he still dares to stay here. It's simply a wallpaper. If we don't kill Longao this time, the 9 of us will really have lived in vain. That's right. No matter what happens this time, we must kill Longao. Killing Longao was a lie, but obtaining the treasures in Longao's hands was the real reason. After all, the defensive starry sky divine artifacts and spatial starry sky divine artifacts were heaven-defying starry sky divine artifacts. If the 9 of them could obtain these starry sky divine artifacts, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. In fact, the 9 of them knew very well that they could temporarily form an alliance for the sake of the same target, Longao. But what about the future? If they could kill Longao smoothly, then who would get the treasures in Longao's hands? This was a big problem because the 9 of them could be shameless for the sake of treasures. They could also fight and even kill each other for the sake of treasures. There was no doubt about this. The 9 of them had already thought of this, but they didn't say it out loud. Chapter 25-25. The 9 half-step sovereigns had arrived. The next thing they needed to do was lock onto Longao's position. They weren't afraid of Longao. If there was a first time, there would be a second, a third, a fourth, or even a 5th time. As long as Longao's cultivation base couldn't break through to the half-step sovereign realm, they could surround and kill Longao at any time, taking 10,000 steps back. Even if Longao's cultivation base had broken through to the half-step sovereign realm, it was impossible for him to defeat the 9 of them alone. What the 9 of them were worried about was the mysterious person. The 9 of them were almost certain that the mysterious person who had interfered with them was the so-called sovereign of the starry sky. The gap between a half-step sovereign of the starry sky and a sovereign of the starry sky was enormous. It was like an insurmountable chasm. That was the key point. Even now, the 9 of them still didn't know what the relationship between the sovereign of the starry sky and Longao was. If their relationship was very good, the 9 of them would have been forcibly suppressed. So what was going on? The martial heaven continent, the outer sea, within the crystal palace. Seeing the middle-aged man who had suddenly appeared in front of him, the master god diviner was shocked. He had never imagined that the person he could crush to death would become the sovereign of the starry sky. Yun Lu, congratulations on becoming the sovereign of the starry sky. The master god diviner was very vexed. He had always been confident that no matter who it was, including Yun Lu, no one would be able to become the sovereign of the starry sky. That was why he hadn't killed Yun Lu back then. But the result? Now that things had come to this, it was too late to regret. The person who had just arrived was none other than Yun Qian's father, Yun Lu. Just as Longao had guessed, Yun Qian's father was a true sovereign of the starry sky. However, just like the master god diviner, He hadn't grasped the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos tablet. Yunlu smiled. Before, he had been very afraid of the Master God Diviner because he knew that as long as the Master God Diviner wanted to, he could easily destroy him. But now that he had devoured the primal chaos tablet and refined it to become the sovereign of the starry sky, his status was the same as the Master God Diviners. If they wanted to determine who was better, they would have to control the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone tablet. It was easy to think about it, but it was extremely difficult to actually do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. After all these years, it was impossible for Master God Diviner's group of 12 to not have been able to acquire the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone tablets. One could imagine just how difficult it was to obtain the primal chaos force within the chaos stone tablet. I was just lucky. Was it really a fluke? Master God Diviner didn't believe Yunlu's nonsense, but he still said the same thing. Now that Yunlu had become the ruler of space, their statuses had become the same. Please have a seat. Thank you. Yunlu did not stand on ceremony and directly sat down. He had a gentle and refined smile on his face. Master Clairvoyant, I came here not only to tell you that I've become the ruler of stars, but also to join your ranks. Would you be willing to accept me? Regarding Yunlu's meaning, the divine mathematician naturally knew. Ha ha ha, no problem. I couldn't ask for more. Of course, he couldn't ask for more. The current Yunlu was no longer the same as before. Yunlu, what about your race? I know what to do. Don't worry about that. Master God Diviner smiled, stood up, and left with Yunlu. From beginning to end, Yidugu didn't say a word. He knew that Yunlu's status was different now. Even he had to treat him as an equal. Yunlu was also an old fox. He didn't tell Master God Diviner that his daughter had successfully devoured the primal chaos stone tablet. He knew very well what it meant for a race to have two rulers of the stars at the same time. If Master God Diviner couldn't tolerate them and join forces with other rulers of the stars to deal with them and their race, then things would become very troublesome. Although they were wary of the mysterious expert, the 9 were still prepared to take the risk. They knew very well that if the mysterious ruler of the stars was willing to deal with them for Longao's sake, then they wouldn't have the slightest chance. Longao wasn't the least bit surprised that 9 half-step rulers of the stars had once again surrounded him. He had already guessed it. 1 against 9, he definitely wasn't their match. Longao had never thought of clashing head-on with the 9 of them. That was because the 9 of them could seal off the surrounding space. Even with his current strength, he could not step into the primal chaos palace. That was the greatest problem. Longao could come and go without a trace. With his valiant strength, apart from peak starry sky immortals and half-step rulers of the stars, Longao could ignore anyone. However, Longao wasn't going to play with the 9 of them. He couldn't fight them head-on anyway, and there wouldn't be any result. There was no point in staying. In that case, Longao didn't have the slightest intention of staying. He chose to leave. Until now, no one knew that Longao had left. The 9 half-step rulers of the stars were still searching everywhere for Longao's traces. In fact, the 9 of them were depressed to the extreme because they had already lost the best opportunity. It was almost impossible to find a second chance. The Starry Sky God tool in Longao's hands wasn't something they could lock onto. If they wanted to find Longao, they first had to lock onto the Starry Sky God tool in Longao's hands. The 9 of them had already thought that to seal the surrounding space and prevent Longao from stepping into the Primal Chaos Palace, they would need the strength of at least 6 people. This was the most troublesome thing. In addition to Longao's spatial Starry Sky God tool, the 9 of them were also looking forward to obtaining the defensive Starry Sky God tool in Longao's hands. The fact that Longao could take a blow from Longao without dying was enough to show how terrifying the defensive Starry Sky God tool in Longao's hands was. If they could obtain it, they could completely suppress the other half-step starry sky rulers. Because of this, the 9 of them each had their own ulterior motives. They would definitely kill each other in the future. For the treasures in Longao's hands, the 9 of them would never give up. Among the 9 of them, Gongsun, He and Bai Jing wanted to kill Longao the most. They knew very well that they couldn't give Longao any chance to develop. Otherwise, they believed that Longao would definitely not give up in the future. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots to prevent future troubles. They absolutely couldn't leave any trouble for themselves. Because of this, Bai Jing and Gongsun, He couldn't choose to give up. As for the others, they wouldn't choose to give up for the sake of treasures. In this way, the 9 of them could lock onto more and more places, but they still couldn't find any trace of Longao. Chapter 25-26. As time slowly passed, the matter of the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin was no longer as lively as it had been in the beginning. Countless people had chosen to give up. Only the 10 dominators and 9 half-dominators hadn't chosen to give up. They were still searching for the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin, hoping to take it for themselves. But the result? The white-clothed girl seemed to have evaporated from the world. No one could find any trace of her. Soaring Dragon Empire. The Soaring Dragon Empire was now even more hidden. As long as no one leaked the location, no one would be able to lock onto the Soaring Dragon Empire. Longao directly returned to the Soaring Dragon Empire. The white-clothed girl didn't return this time. Longao sat at the top of the main hall with a helpless expression. He looked around gloomily. "Aoer, what's wrong?" Seeing his grandfather walk in, Longao smiled and shook his head. "I'm fine. Grandfather, how's your primal chaos tablet?" Ever since Longao and the others had swallowed the primal chaos tablet, they had been in closed-door cultivation. If there wasn't anything important, they wouldn't casually appear. Exactly so. Longao was very curious. He didn't know why his grandfather had come out of closed-door cultivation. Could it be that his grandfather was looking for him for something? Longao helplessly shook his head. It's easier said than done to completely refine the primal chaos tablet. Fortunately, I've already started. I believe that with enough time, one day I'll be able to completely refine the primal chaos tablet. His heart was instantly filled with joy. Longao was very clear that refining the primal chaos tablet wasn't an easy task. As long as he could refine it, it was fine. Without waiting for Longao to continue asking, Longao continued. "Aoer, this time, your grandfather has come out of closed-door cultivation mainly to tell you something. I've already heard about what happened to you. You have to be open-minded about everything. Don't beat around the bush. Understand?" "Yes, grandfather. I know what to do." Longao grew more and more curious. He didn't know why his grandfather had come out of closed-door cultivation. It seemed like nothing could beat refining the primal chaos tablet. "Aoer, after 200 years of closed-door cultivation, I've gradually discovered a problem. A problem regarding the primal chaos tablet." "Grandfather, what problem?" The primal chaos stone tablet Longao had obtained was one of the 12 primal chaos stone tablets, the Divine Spear primal chaos stone tablet. "Aoer, the primal chaos steel you gave me back then was the Divine Spear primal chaos steel." He nodded. He naturally knew about the primal chaos stone tablet he had given to his grandfather. "After so many years of refining, I've gradually discovered that there seems to be a secret to the Divine Spear Chaos Stone Tablet that I've refined." Longao didn't say anything. He just listened quietly. His intuition told him that the secret his grandfather had discovered was definitely not a small matter. Otherwise, his grandfather would definitely not be simple. He wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, Longao still said helplessly, "I don't know if I'm the only one who can sense this. As the time it takes for me to refine the tablet continues to increase, I've discovered that even if I can refine the tablet, I won't be able to obtain the primal chaos force within. So this was it? Longao smiled and said, Grandpa, it's not just you. I know that the 12 rulers of the stars, including Xiling, can't control the chaos power in the chaos tablet. If that's all, you don't have to worry about anything. But in the end, Longao didn't relax in the slightest. Instead, he grew even more serious. Longao was no fool. Seeing his grandfather's serious expression, the smile on his face instantly turned to one of curiosity. He didn't know what was going on with his grandfather. If that's the only problem, I wouldn't have come to find you. This was what Longao was most curious about, because he knew that his grandfather knew as well. It didn't seem to be a secret. Almost everyone knew about it. If it wasn't because of this, then what was it? Grandpa, what's going on? I think I know why we can't refine the chaos tablets but can't control the chaos power within them. Huh? After hearing his grandfather's words, Longao was completely stunned. He knew very well what his grandfather meant. This was a secret that no one knew. Not even the Master God Diviner knew. Otherwise, the 12 rulers of the stars wouldn't have been unable to obtain the chaos power within the chaos tablets for so many years. How did his grandfather know? Unbelievable. This was truly unbelievable. Grandpa, what's going on? Longao was a little impatient. His grandfather and the others had successfully swallowed the chaos tablet. Even if they could become rulers of the stars, they couldn't completely suppress the Master God Diviner and the others. If they wanted to achieve absolute suppression, there was only one way. Not only did they have to refine the chaos tablets, they also had to control the chaos power within them. And the key was the chaos power. Longao, of course, knew what he meant. Seeing his grandson so impatient, he didn't care at all. He said, according to my senses, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2 reasons why we can refine the chaos tablets but can't control the chaos power within. Grandpa, please tell me. Here came the main point. Longao focused 120% and listened attentively. The first reason is that in this vast universe there is no chaos power at all. This is similar to how our cultivation can continue to break through, and even reach the limit of starry sky immortality. It's because of the power of the stars in this vast universe. If we lose the power of the stars, think about what that means. Longao instantly understood what his grandfather meant. If he didn't think about it, he wouldn't have known. But when he thought about it, he was shocked. It was true. If the power of the stars in this vast universe disappeared, then all cultivators in the universe wouldn't be able to improve. They would be stuck in the same place and might even regress. If that was the case, then it seemed that the reason why they couldn't control the chaos power within the chaos tablets was directly related to this reason. Then what about the second reason? The second reason is that we don't have an easy affinity with the chaos tablet. If there's a rejection, then don't talk about controlling the chaos power within the tablet. I'm afraid that after a long time, the tablets will devour us. Even if we don't die, we'll enter the cycle of reincarnation. Longao already understood what his grandfather meant. If that was the case, it would be almost impossible to grasp the primal chaos force within the primal chaos stone tablet, unless it was under special circumstances. Chapter 25-27. Grandfather, do you think the primal chaos tablet you devoured is suitable for you? If that was the case, then things would be very troublesome. However, there was still time to stop them from continuing to refine the tablet. After all, no one had truly refined the tablet yet. Longao shook his head gravely. You don't know this. We can't possibly know if it's suitable for us. If we could sense it, then Master Godly Mathematician and the others would have sensed it long ago. That was right. If that was the case, was he supposed to let his family continue to refine the tablet? What if something went wrong in the future? He didn't dare to gamble, nor could he gamble. What if he lost? As if he could guess what his grandson was thinking, Longao said, things have already come to this. We can only take one step at a time. That's why they have to continue refining the tablet. Worry would cause chaos. How could Longao not understand what his grandfather meant? Indeed, things had already come to this. Apart from taking one step at a time, there was nothing else to do. He was truly helpless to the extreme. According to his grandfather, unless primal chaos energy appeared in the vast cosmos, then a ruler of the stars would be able to control the primal chaos energy within the tablet. Otherwise, it was practically impossible. If that was the case, then how had Songlin obtained the primal chaos energy within the tablet? He couldn't understand, he really couldn't understand. Apart from this, Longao was also certain of one thing. Perhaps even Master Godly Mathematician wouldn't dare be certain of this. The reason was simple. Longao had always believed that even if he didn't devour or refine the tablet, as long as he could devour the primal chaos energy, he would still be able to surpass the ruler of the stars. This was a grave mistake, a mistake that was outrageous. To obtain the primal chaos energy, one had to use the tablet as a medium. Otherwise, everything would be nonsense. He sighed deeply. According to Yun Qian, countless years ago, there had been many rulers of the stars. He didn't know whether or not they had mastered the primal chaos energy. To say nothing of the others. Sage Wind Thunder alone seemed to have mastered the primal chaos energy. If that was the case, then there was only one explanation. In the countless years of the cosmos, not only did it contain the power of the stars, it also contained the power of primal chaos. As for why the chaotic energy had disappeared from the vast starry sky, no one knew. Grandfather, if that's the case, you should refine the chaos tablet first. As for what happens in the future, we can only wait and see. Yes, I think so too. Other than this, there was really no other way. After sending his grandfather off, Longao immediately found Xiling and told him everything that had happened between him and his grandfather. Longao didn't hide anything from Xiling. He was very calm. However, Xiling's heart was already in turmoil because the secret that Longao had revealed was too shocking. They had thought of countless possibilities, but not this one. Longao, if that's the case, then what you said is very true. Countless years ago, there must have been the power of primal chaos in the vast starry sky. That's why so many rulers of the starry sky were born. Xiling was curious, and he went on to say, but all the space dominators suddenly disappeared. There must be something going on. Longao had thought of this as well. Violet Spirit, I know what you mean. However, I believe that no one else knows about the tricks involved. This is also not our main focus right now. Violet Spirit, you must remember one thing. When you refine the primal chaos tablet, you must leave a way out. If there is any backlash in the future, you can still throw away the primal chaos tablet. Xiling knew the gravity of the situation. If he wasn't careful, he would be doomed eternally. I understand. As if thinking of something, Xiling sighed deeply and said helplessly, the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin were the key. It's a pity that the white-clothed girl left. Otherwise, we might have been able to discover the secret from countless years ago. Where had Songlin gone? Who was Songlin? Why had Songlin lost her mind? After all, with Songlin's strength, no one in the vast starry sky was her match. All of this was a mystery. Unless it was Songlin herself, no one could know this secret. Unless Songlin comes back on her own, otherwise, at this point, Longao did not continue speaking. Songlin came and went without a trace. No one could lock onto her location. It wasn't just him and Xiling. Everyone in the vast starry sky, especially the 10 universe rulers and 9 half-step universe rulers, were doing their best to find Songlin. Xiling also knew Longao's helplessness. In fact, Xiling didn't know why Song Lin had left Longao for no reason. For 3 whole years, Song Lin had never left. Others might not know this, but how could she not know? Because of this, Xiling couldn't figure it out. Longao, what do you plan to do next? Regarding the meaning of Purple Spirit's question, how could Longao not know? After some thought, Longao said, in addition to breaking through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm as soon as possible, I have to help you Long deal with the Peak Dragon race. As for the Peak Starry Sky Immortals and the 9 Great Starry Sky Empires, Longao had thought about this before. In addition to helping Yu Long take back the Peak Dragon race that belonged to him, he also had to deal with the 9 Great Starry Sky Empires and Zhou Feng's group of 5. This was the key. If I can refine the Primal Chaos Tablet, I can help you deal with the Peak Dragon race. But now, don't worry, I can do it. If Xiling was at his peak, dealing with a Peak Dragon race wouldn't be a problem at all. After all, the Starry Sky Ruler was a super existence that stood at the top of the pyramid. But now, the situation was completely different. Xiling hadn't refined the Primal Chaos Tablet a second time and hadn't recovered his strength as a Starry Sky Ruler. It was almost impossible for him to help Zhou Donghuang. If Xiling acted rashly, not only would he not be able to help Zhou Donghuang, he might even harm Zhou Donghuang. As a friend, how could Zhou Donghuang not think about Xiling? How could Xiling not know what Longao was thinking? He was very touched, but he didn't say anything. If he couldn't help Longao, then he shouldn't be nosy. He didn't want to drag Longao down when the time came. The most important thing right now was to think of a way to refine the Primal Chaos Tablet and become a Starry Sky Ruler again. Just as Xiling was about to leave and turn around, he seemed to remember something. He suddenly turned back and said with a serious expression, I forgot to tell you something. Chapter 25-28. What is it? Longao was curious as to what Xiling was going to tell him. Xiling's expression was solemn as he said, Longao, it's not a problem for you to help Yu Long, but you have to be careful of someone from the Peak Dragon clan. Xiling knew Longao's character very well. Longao valued his friends very much. He could be cruel to his enemies and even eliminate them completely, but he would sacrifice his life for his friends. It was almost impossible to stop Longao from helping his friends. Who? Could it be Yu Long's second uncle, Yu Bubi? Longao certainly knew that there were 5 Peak Starry Sky Immortals in the Peak Dragon clan. Other than the clan leader, Yu Bubi, the other 4 Supreme Elders were also Peak Starry Sky Immortals. Could it be that the person Xiling wanted him to be careful of was the clan leader of the Peak Dragon clan, Yu Bubi? It didn't seem possible. Longao knew Xiling very well and knew his own strength. With his strength and the Chaos Palace alone, Peak Starry Sky Immortals wouldn't be able to do anything to him. If that was the case, why was Xiling so solemn? He seemed to be able to guess what Longao was thinking. Xiling thought for a while and said, Before I stepped into reincarnation, I learned about the 6 great clans. Let's not talk about the other clans first, but the most mysterious one. The first clan leader of the Peak Dragon clan, the Dragon Emperor, is not simple. Dragon Vein? Longao certainly knew who Xiling was talking about. The Dragon Vein was the forbidden area of the Peak Dragon clan. Other than a few people who could enter at will, no one else could. He had already stepped into the forbidden area and seen the so-called Dragon Vein. Because of this, Longao was 100% sure that the so-called Dragon Vein of the Peak Dragon clan was the rumored fallen first-generation Dragon Emperor of the Peak Dragon clan, who was also the Peak Starry Sky Immortal Dragon Slayer. Yes, it was the Dragon Slayer. One could imagine how powerful the Dragon Slayer was to create the Peak Dragon clan, one of the 6 great clans. Xiling, what's going on? Longao's intuition told him that Xiling was up to something. Long too definitely did not really die. He only chose to go into closed-door cultivation to break through to a higher realm. Apart from himself, there were probably only a few people in the entire vast starry sky who knew this secret. Longao, back then, Dragon Slayer was already a peak starry sky immortal. According to the information I obtained, Dragon Slayer even obtained a secret realm and chose to go into seclusion to refine it. Upon hearing Xilinx's words, Longao was completely shocked. This was because he had never thought that the Dragon Slayer had chosen to cultivate in isolation because he had obtained the secret realm. If that was the case, didn't it mean that Long too should have become a half-step starry sky ruler long ago? What was going on? Longao didn't hide anything from Xiling, and told him everything that had happened to him. His face became more and more dignified. Longao, I believe you've already guessed that with Long Two's talent and potential, once he obtained the secret realm, he would definitely be able to refine it and become a half-step starry sky ruler. He nodded. How could Longao not know what Xiling meant? If there were no accidents, since Long Two had already devoured the secret realm, he would definitely become a half-step starry sky ruler. There was almost no doubt about this. According to what you said, since Long Two had become a half-step starry sky ruler, there was no need for him to continue refining the secret realm. Why did he continue to cultivate in seclusion? I really don't understand. It was indeed a mystery. There must be something fishy about it. Longao knew that this matter was definitely not simple. No. Xiling and Longao looked at each other and saw the deep shock in each other's eyes, because both of them thought of a possibility. It was still the same sentence. Under normal circumstances, since Long Two had successfully refined the secret realm and become a half-step starry sky ruler, he would definitely come out of seclusion to help the Peak Dragon clan reach a higher peak. However, in the end, not only did Long Two not come out of seclusion, but he continued to cultivate in seclusion. Both of them had already guessed that the reason Long Two continued to cultivate in seclusion was definitely not to refine the secret realm. Since it wasn't to refine the secret realm, both of them guessed at the same time that Long Two might be refining the Chaos Stone Tablet. Whether it was Xiling or Longao, both of them were almost certain that there were definitely more than 12 Chaos Stone Tablets in the vast starry sky. The number of Chaos Stone Tablets that had appeared now was more than 20 Chaos Stone Tablet. Even if Dragon Slayer had obtained the primal Chaos Stone Tablet, it was still very possible. Longao, I believe you've guessed it. If there are no accidents, it seems that Long Two has obtained a Chaos Stone Tablet. Apart from this possibility, I really can't think of any other reason why Long Two would choose to continue cultivating in seclusion. Xiling nodded in agreement. After a deep sigh, Longao said helplessly, if this is true, then things will be very troublesome. Long Two has been in seclusion for so many years. Although I can say now that Long Two definitely hasn't truly refined the Chaos Stone Tablet and become a starry sky ruler, no one knows when Long Two will succeed. If Long Two really did refine the Chaos Stone Tablet and become a starry sky ruler, then it would be almost impossible for Yu Long to take back his Peak Dragon clan. However, facing the old ancestor, Yu Long might choose to put aside his hatred. After all, the Peak Dragon clan was still his clan. Longao certainly didn't know whether Long Two was friend or foe. If Yu Long could take over the Peak Dragon clan, then it would be beneficial for both himself and Longao. It would be a lie to say that he didn't have a trace of selfishness. Longao, I want you to be careful of Long Tuesday. Even if Long Two hasn't become a starry sky ruler, just the strength of a half-step starry sky ruler is already very difficult for you to deal with. However, according to what you just said, Long Two has chosen to seal himself. If you destroy Long Two now, then you still have a chance. Longao already understood what Xiling meant. If Long Two really refined the Chaos Stone Tablet and became a starry sky ruler, then it would be almost impossible for him to kill Long Tuesday unless he could also refine the attributeless Chaos Stone Tablet and become a Starry Sky ruler. Then he would have a chance. However, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he could completely destroy the Dragon Vein while Long Tu was still sealing himself, then even if Long Tu became a half-step Starry Sky ruler, he believed that he wouldn't be able to escape destruction. After sending off Zi-Ling, Longao did not hesitate in the slightest and immediately went to find his good friend Yulong. He told Yulong his thoughts in full detail, wanting to see what Yulong had in mind. Chapter 25-29. Yulong was absolutely crucial. If Yulong decided to give up on revenge and chose to support Long Tu, then everything he did would not only not help his friend, but also cause trouble for him. If Yulong decided to continue his revenge and wanted to take back the peak of the dragon race, then he would support his friend without hesitation. Yulong was also very clear about Longao's intentions. If it was before, he would definitely choose to support the old ancestor without hesitation and give up on revenge. But now everything was different. Whether the old ancestor died or not had nothing to do with him. As long as he could take back the peak of the dragon race, he would be willing to kill the old ancestor with his own hands. He should make a decision. Without the slightest hesitation, Yulong said, "Brother Long, I know what you mean. I've thought about it. I just want to take back the peak of the dragon race. No matter who blocks my way, I'll kill without mercy." Longao smiled. He nodded with appreciation, because only then could Yulong be a person who could achieve great things. Although he was a little confident, he still hoped that his friend could stand out. "Brother Long, the peak of the dragon race's strength is there. There are 5 peak Starry Sky immortals and Long Tu is still alive. It'll be difficult for us to do it." How could Longao not know about Yulong's worries? The peak of the dragon race's strength was too strong. Just his and Yulong's strength alone could not shake the peak of the dragon race. It was a fool's dream. If he chose to fight with force, it would be like hitting a rock with an egg. Longao would definitely not do such a stupid thing. "Yulong, I believe you already know that Long Tu is already a half-step Starry Sky ruler. According to my guess, if there are no accidents, there is only one reason why Long Tu chose to cultivate in seclusion." "What reason?" "The Chaos Tablet." Hearing Longao's words, Yulong was completely shocked because he never thought that the old ancestor had not only devoured the secret realm but also the Chaos Tablet. Yulong was not a fool. Of course, he knew what Longao meant. If he could get the Chaos Tablet in Long Tu's hands, then he would also have a chance to become a Starry Sky ruler. The temptation of becoming a Starry Sky ruler was there. Even Yulong could not resist. "Brother Long, what do you mean?" He nodded. Longao smiled and said, "Brother Yulong, you should have already guessed what I mean. That's right. My intention is very simple. I want you to replace me. Not only do I want to take back the peak dragon race, but I also want to take away everything in Long Tu's hands. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't even dare to think about it. Except for Longao. If Yulong could really become the ruler of the universe, he would definitely be able to help him with the peak dragon race." Yulong nodded and did not say anything else. Since things had already come to this, there was nothing else he could do. Take a gamble. If he won the bet, he would be able to soar into the sky. Not only would he be able to stand at the pinnacle of the vast starry sky, but he would even be able to bring the pinnacle of the dragon tribe to a higher level. If he lost the bet, the worst that could happen was that he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Right at this moment. "Brother Long, what's wrong?" Longao's face was filled with surprise as he said excitedly, "Brother Yulong, let's talk later. I can feel that my cultivation level, which has been stuck for a long time, is finally loosening." Without waiting for Yulong to speak, in the next second, Longao's figure had already disappeared without a trace. Inside the primal Chaos Palace, Longao didn't know why his cultivation level, which had been stuck for a long time, would suddenly loosen at this moment. He already knew that the real reason why he couldn't break through was because his constitution required him to devour a huge amount of energy. What is this? Looking at the Chaos 9-colored lotus in front of him, Longao finally understood what was going on. According to Longao's guess, if there were no accidents, the real reason why he couldn't break through after fusing with the Chaos 9-colored lotus was because he didn't devour the power of the Chaos 9-colored lotus. After such a long period of fusion, Longao had finally truly fused with the primal Chaos 9-colored lotus. With the true fusion, Longao could use the power of the Chaos 9-colored lotus to break through the current Starry Sky Legend rank and reach the Starry Sky Immortal rank. Without the slightest hesitation. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he missed it, who knew how long it would take for him to break through again? Sitting on the ground, Longao began to wholeheartedly break through. The Chaos 9-colored lotus floated in front of Longao and began to rotate continuously. Now that Longao had completely fused with the Chaos 9-colored lotus, he could control the Chaos 9-colored lotus at will. For more than 200 years, he hadn't been able to break through. Finally, he had waited for this moment. For Longao, the significance was too great. The gap between the Starry Sky Legend rank and the Starry Sky Immortal rank was too big. Once he successfully broke through from the Starry Sky Legend rank to the Starry Sky Immortal rank, Longao was confident that he could kill a peak Starry Sky Immortal rank in a one-on-one fight. This was the gap between the two. However, even if he broke through to the Starry Sky Immortal rank, Longao knew that he couldn't kill a half-step Starry Sky ruler with his current strength. No matter what, half-step Starry Sky rulers had secret realms to protect them. He absolutely couldn't fail at the last moment. Time passed by little by little. After about 3 months, Longao finally opened his eyes slowly. His face was filled with surprise and excitement. After 3 months of continuous cultivation, he finally broke through from the Starry Sky Legend rank to the Starry Sky Immortal rank. After waiting for more than 200 years, he finally broke through smoothly. Standing up and looking at the Chaos Palace around him, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. If he encountered a so-called peak Starry Sky Immortal rank again, he wouldn't be afraid at all. If he was lucky, he could even kill a peak Starry Sky Immortal rank expert. Excluding the Starry Sky rulers and half-step Starry Sky rulers, although his cultivation hadn't truly broken through to the peak Starry Sky Immortal rank, his current strength was already at the peak of the vast Starry Sky. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't surprised. Longao's cultivation had smoothly broken through to the Starry Sky Immortal rank. Only a few people knew about it. Longao knew very well that this smooth breakthrough was all thanks to the Chaos 9-colored lotus. Otherwise, who knew how long it would have taken him to break through to the Starry Sky Immortal rank? 100 years? 10,000 years? 10 million years? It was all possible. Thinking about it, he felt that his luck was really good. Taking advantage of this opportunity, his cultivation had smoothly broken through. It was really beneficial for what he was going to do next. With the smooth breakthrough, the next step was to head to the Peak Dragon Clan. P.S. Starting tomorrow, I'll resume 5 chapters a day. I'm really sorry for making everyone wait. Chapter 25-30. Brother Long, congratulations on successfully breaking through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm. If it was someone else breaking through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, it would be impossible for them to compete with a peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm expert. Only Longao's situation was very different. Because Yu Long knew very well that once Longao's cultivation successfully broke through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, even a peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm expert wouldn't be a match for Longao. An anomaly. Longao was really an anomaly. However, Yulong was really happy for Longao. The stronger Longao's strength was, the more excited he was. Brother Yulong, I was just lucky to be able to break through this time. Was it really luck? Yulong knew a lot about Longao's past. In less than 300 years, Longao had developed from a trash to a super powerhouse today. This kind of cultivation speed was really a bit inconceivable. He didn't continue. Because Yulong knew that although Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the starry sky immortal realm, he was still far from it. So what if he could fight against a peak starry sky immortal realm expert? But one had to know. Above the peak starry sky immortal realm, there was the half-step starry sky dominator realm. Longao still had a long way to go. Brother Long, what should we do now? Of course, Yulong knew what to do next. Dealing with the Peak Dragon clan could be said to be a narrow escape, especially now that he knew that the old ancestor hadn't died and had even become a half-step starry sky dominator. Fortunately, the old ancestor hadn't refined the Chaos Stone tablet and become a starry sky dominator. Otherwise, no one in the vast starry sky could suppress Long Tuesday. How could Longao not know about Yulong's worries? This was also the most depressing thing for him. Although he knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it was really difficult to do it, and even a narrow escape. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Let's go. In the end, Longao and Yulong still chose to go to the Peak Dragon clan because everything would be too late when Long Tu's cultivation truly broke through to the starry sky dominator realm. There were countless races in the vast starry sky. However, among the countless races in the vast starry sky, there were 6 races that stood tall in the starry sky. They were considered the most powerful existences in the vast starry sky. The 6 pinnacle races were the pinnacle human race, the pinnacle dragon race, the pinnacle underworld race, the pinnacle rat race, the pinnacle slaughter race, and the pinnacle mystery race. Among the 6 pinnacle races, the most powerful one was the pinnacle human race, and the most mysterious one was the pinnacle mysterious race. No matter what, the 9 great starry sky empires of the human race each had a half-step starry sky ruler. As for whether the other 5 races had a half-step starry sky ruler, it was unheard of. Even so, the peak human tribe did not dare to casually provoke the other 5 tribes. Think about it. To be able to stand tall in the vast starry sky for so many years and be known as the pinnacle race, it would be impossible for them to not have some foundation. Among the 6 major races, the dragon race was considered to be in the lower middle class. Ever since the first-generation dragon emperor, Long Tu, had fallen, the situation of the Peak Dragon clan had not been optimistic. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, the Peak Dragon race was considered to be in a semi-concealed state. As long as no one provoked me, I would definitely not take the initiative to provoke them. This was also why there were very few members of the Peak Dragon race in the vast starry sky. Just as Longao and Yulong were rushing towards the Peak Dragon race, they encountered an unexpected person. It was truly a narrow road for enemies. As the saying goes, when enemies meet, their eyes turn red. The person Longao and Yulong met was none other than the person who wanted to kill him and Miao Ling, in the mysterious plane, the so-called Zhou Feng of the slaughter race. Other than Zhou Feng, there were 4 other pinnacle starry sky immortals who had left the mysterious plane to search for Longao and Miao Ling. The 4 pinnacle starry sky immortals were Gang Mu, Yi Chong, Jin Chen, and Hua Boli. Longao had never forgotten about the 5 of them. If it was the previous him, not to mention 1 against 5, even in a one-on-one situation, he would not be a match for the 5 of them, especially Zhou Feng. But the situation was completely different now. With his cultivation base breaking through to the starry sky immortal realm, Longao was filled with confidence. As long as he did not meet 5 pinnacle starry sky immortals at the same time, he would have a high chance of killing one of them. Longao, long time no see. How have you been? Zhou Feng's face was still as shameless as ever, hiding a dagger in his smile. Regarding Zhou Feng, of course, Yulong was not unfamiliar at all. After dealing with him for countless years, the grudges between them were still very heavy. Especially because of Longao, Yulong hated Zhou Feng to the bone. Zhou Feng, do you think you can take on the two of us alone? He was a little surprised. After sensing carefully, Zhou Feng finally sensed that Longao's cultivation base had broken through from legend to starry sky immortal realm in such a short period of time. Such a cultivation speed was indeed shocking. Even so, Longao did not seem to have the qualifications to challenge him. Yulong alone was no match for him. Even if the two of them joined forces, he would not be afraid at all. Ha 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 ha. Zhou Feng looked up to the sky and laughed crazily. He laughed for a few minutes before he stopped. He looked coldly at the two people in front of him and said coldly, Longao, Yulong, since you know my identity, I don't want to continue talking nonsense. Hand over the secret realm and your secrets, and I can let you go. Otherwise, at this point, Zhou Feng did not continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Other than being a powerful pinnacle starry sky immortal realm expert, Zhou Feng also had the massacre race behind him. Not to mention empires, even the 9 pinnacle starry sky empires did not dare to underestimate the massacre race. How could Longao and Yulong not know what Zhou Feng meant? They just smiled and did not care at all. Longao smiled and said, Zhou Feng, why are you talking so much nonsense? If you want to fight, then fight. If not, you can scram now. With his current strength, once he joined forces with Yulong, Longao was confident that he could kill Zhou Feng. In fact, in his heart, he would not let Zhou Feng leave whether he wanted to or not. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots to prevent future troubles. If he did not kill Zhou Feng now, there would be a lot of trouble in the future. Even if Zhou Feng did not come looking for him this time, he would look for Zhou Feng and the other 4 people. Longao, you want to kill me? As a massacre race expert, how could Zhou Feng not know that Longao and Yulong wanted to kill him? Chapter 25-31. Without hiding anything. Since things were already like this, there was no point in continuing to hide. At this moment, Yulong smiled and said, Zhou Feng, I have to admit that in terms of individual strength, Longao and I are indeed not your match. However, if the two of us work together, it's more than enough to kill you. With just the two of you? His face was full of contempt and mockery. Zhou Feng was very confident. Not to mention Longao and Yulong, even if 2 more peak universe undying came, he wouldn't be afraid. With just the 2 of us, waving his hand, Longao stopped Yulong from continuing. He only spat out one word, and that was the word kill. Without any hesitation. End the battle quickly. Their real target was the peak dragon race, not Zhou Feng. Because in front of the peak dragon race, Zhou Feng wasn't even worth a fart. The two didn't dare to waste time. Under such circumstances, the longer they wasted time, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. Because no one knew when Long Tu would refine the primal chaos tablet and become a universe ruler. They had to think of a way to kill Long Tu before he became a universe ruler. Yulong and Longao's speed soared to the extreme. One on the left and one on the right, they attacked Zhou Feng crazily. Holding the Chaos Axe, they used the Chaos 9 axes. Chaos 9 axes, first axe, Hell Devour. Space cracks began to appear in the surrounding space, crazily devouring Zhou Feng. If it were anyone else, Zhou Feng wouldn't be afraid. Only Longao's situation was different. He grasped the universe and merged with the Chaos 9 axes. In addition to the power of the Chaos 9 axes, he could also shatter space. Such power could threaten any peak universe undying. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Until now, Zhou Feng still couldn't figure out how Longao did it. How could he forcibly break space and cause space cracks to appear in the surrounding space? Zhou Feng knew very well that even a half-step starry sky ruler, or even a starry sky ruler, wouldn't be able to do this. Unbelievable. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. How did Longao do it? Counter every move. Zhou Feng could be considered to be extremely calm as he frantically dodged the spatial cracks with his extreme speed. This was because even with his strength, once he was swallowed by the spatial cracks, he would definitely die. It was precisely because of this. Aside from Zhou Feng, who was afraid of the spatial rift, Yulong, who was attacking Zhou Feng with all his might, was also afraid. He did not dare to approach the spatial rift. If they were accidentally killed by the spatial rift, then the losses would outweigh the gains. As a result, the strength of Yulong's attacks decreased significantly. Zhou Feng was more than enough to deal with it. Longao's expression was solemn. He never expected Zhou Feng to be so strong. It wasn't the strength of an ordinary peak starry sky immortal. What was going on? If this continued, it would not be a solution. If he couldn't kill Zhou Feng and let Zhou Feng escape, then he would still have a lot of trouble in the future. With his current strength, in a head-on clash, he definitely didn't fear Zhou Feng, nor any peak universe undying. What he was afraid of was that Zhou Feng would not fight him head-on and would instead choose to launch a sneak attack from the shadows. If that was the case, it would be unrealistic to say that there wouldn't be any trouble. Longao, I have to admit that your cultivation speed and strength are really strong. If your cultivation could continue to break through and reach peak universe undying, I really wouldn't be your match. But now, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, Zhou Feng's heart finally relaxed. Because he was very clear about Longao's situation. If Longao's cultivation could continue to break through and reach the same level as him, which was the so-called peak universe undying, then he definitely wouldn't be Zhou Feng's match. If he chose to fight head-on, then he would definitely die. But now, Longao's cultivation had yet to break through to peak universe undying. With the current situation, Zhou Feng could still deal with him. The more Longao was like this, the more he wanted to kill Longao. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Zhou Feng's strength was indeed strong. At the very least, ordinary peak universe undying wouldn't be Zhou Feng's match. Yulong gradually left the battlefield. Even if he wanted to join in, he was powerless because Longao's space cracks were simply random attacks. Whether it was Zhou Feng or Yulong, as long as they were swallowed by the space cracks, the consequences would be unimaginable. As for Yulong's withdrawal, it was Longao's idea. Because Longao was very clear that in his battle with Zhou Feng, not only would Yulong not be able to help him, but he would also bring trouble to himself. Longao and Zhou Feng's battle had reached a white-hot stage. Back and forth, the battle was very intense. It seemed like the outcome would be decided at any time. The more they fought, the calmer they became. The more they fought, the more incredulous they felt. This was because Zhou Feng didn't expect that Longao, who was only a universe undying, would have such abnormal strength. Not only could he be evenly matched with him, but he was even gradually suppressing him. It was a little unbelievable. If this continued, not to mention killing Longao and seizing the treasures in Longao's hands, whether he could escape unscathed would be a big problem. Longao, you forced me to do this. Longao was very surprised. His intuition told him that Zhou Feng must have a trump card. After all, as a genius of the Slaughter Clan, it would be strange if Zhou Feng didn't have some strength. Before Longao and Yulong could react, Zhou Feng began to mumble something. His body released a strange light that instantly enveloped the surrounding space. As if thinking of something, Yulong's face completely changed. With a look of horror, he said, "Brother Long, let's go. Zhou Feng is summoning." Summoning? Summoning what? Longao was very curious. But soon, he thought of something. Under normal circumstances, Zhou Feng came from one of the 6 pinnacle clans, the Slaughter clan. If there was no accident, Zhou Feng must be summoning someone from the Slaughter clan. Zhou Feng was already a peak universe undying. The person summoning him must be stronger than him. Otherwise, it would be meaningless for him to summon someone from the Slaughter clan. There were only 2 possibilities for the person Zhou Feng was summoning. The first possibility was that the person summoning was a peak universe undying. The second possibility was that the person summoning was a half-step universe dominator. As for whether there was a half-step universe dominator in the Pinnacle Slaughter clan, it was unknown. Zhou Feng's summoning speed was very fast. In just a few seconds, Zhou Feng's summoning was successful. Chapter 25-32. So what if he summoned them? The Peak Massacre clan must be very far from here. Even if Zhou Feng summoned them, it would take a long time for the summoner to arrive. However, since things had already come to this, Longao did not intend to stay any longer. Because Longao knew very well that it would be very difficult for him to kill Zhou Feng in the current situation. There was no point in continuing to fight. In that case, it would be better to leave early and find a chance to deal with Zhou Feng in the future. But the result? Just as Longao and Yulong were about to leave, a terrifying force instantly shrouded them. Half-step Starry Sky Dominator. Feeling this power, whether it was Longao or Yulong, they were very clear about who the owner of this power was. There was no doubt that the person who suddenly arrived must be the one summoned by Zhou Feng, and it was a powerful half-step Starry Sky Dominator. The summoning speed was a bit too terrifying. It took less than a few seconds. Before the two could even react, the summoner had already arrived. Who was this person? Longao and Yulong never expected that the Peak Massacre clan really had a half-step Starry Sky Dominator. An old man appeared instantly. His dignified face was full of vicissitudes of life, and the aura he released was very aggressive. Father! Father? Hearing Zhou Feng call the old man father, Longao had already guessed who the old man was. If he was not wrong, the old man should be the clan leader of the Peak Massacre clan. Sure enough, at this time, Yulong said with his spiritual sense, "Brother Long, let's leave here first." Okay. Longao certainly knew the seriousness of the matter. If they were not careful, they would be in big trouble. Feng why did you summon me? Zhou Dian, the clan leader of the Peak Massacre clan, was also a half-step Starry Sky Dominator. When Zhou Feng was telling the truth, he used his spiritual sense to tell the story in full detail, including all the secrets of Longao. After listening, Zhou Dian's expression did not change at all. However, his heart was already in turmoil because he knew very well what his son meant. Are you Longao? Without waiting for Longao to speak, Zhou Dian continued, You can call me Zhou Dian. I am the patriarch of the Slaughter clan. The two of them had already guessed it. Ever since the 4 Pinnacle races joined forces to defeat the Pinnacle Slaughterer race, the Pinnacle Slaughterer race had never appeared. Although the 4 Pinnacle races had stopped killing other races, they were still not on friendly terms. However, Longao knew very well what it meant to be at the pinnacle of the Slaughterer race. Just Zhou Dian, a half-step Starry Sky ruler, was enough to lead the Peak Slaughterer clan to stand proudly in the starry sky. No one dared to provoke them. Zhou Dian, what do you want? It was a straightforward move without the slightest bit of sloppiness. Zhou Dian nodded approvingly and said with a smile, You're really not bad. Longao, I can give you a chance now. Hand over the secret realm and all the secrets on you. However, you can join my race and I'll do my best to nurture you. How about it? Zhou Feng was shocked. He didn't know why his father was doing this, but since his father had already decided, he couldn't say anything. Would Longao agree? If Longao agreed, then he wouldn't be Longao. Longao smiled and said, Thank you for your kindness, But I can't join a race that only knows how to kill. The enmity between me and Zhou Feng will not end until one of us is dead. Not end until one of us is dead. These 4 words had already expressed Longao's attitude. After saying this, Zhou Dian didn't continue to say anything because Longao's attitude had already made it clear. No matter how much nonsense he said, it would be useless. He laughed sinisterly, and his laughter was very strange. Longao, I have to admit that you're really arrogant. For so many years, no one has dared to speak to me like this. You're the first. However, it doesn't matter. I have a way to make you obediently hand over the secret. Soul search. This was especially true for a pinnacle expert like Zhou Dian. Once he killed Longao and Yulong, he could use soul search to learn everything he wanted to know. Zhou Dian was very confident about this. Yulong, you leave first. If we leave together. If we stay together. How could Yulong agree when he heard Longao's spiritual sense transmission asking him to leave alone? If he abandoned Longao and left alone, would he still be human? He was determined not to leave. Longao, however, was extremely anxious. He impatiently transmitted with his spiritual sense, Yulong, listen to me. You have to leave and return to the Empire now. You have to help me guard the Empire. I have the Starry Sky Divine Tool. I will be fine, and my Empire must be fine. It was better to be safe than sorry. If the Pinnacle Massacre race started to attack his Empire and Zhou Dian locked onto the Empire, then it would be extremely troublesome. This was because the current Empire was still unable to contend against the Pinnacle Massacre race. After all, the person who had devoured the Primal Chaos Tablet had yet to truly refine it and become a Star God ruler. Yulong naturally knew what Longao meant. This was the only thing he could do. Thinking of this, Yulong turned around and prepared to leave. Do you want to leave? Can't I? Being questioned by Longao, Zhou Dian was a little stunned. This was because he still didn't know about Longao's remarkable abilities, especially the fact that Longao could shatter the starry sky. If he knew, who knew what Zhou Dian would think? After all, almost no one in the vast starry sky could break open a crack in the starry sky. Longao was definitely the first person to do so. Of course, Yulong didn't care at all. With Longao's help, he would definitely be able to leave. The only thing he needed to do now was to rush back to the Soaring Dragon Empire as quickly as possible and inform the people of the Empire to be on guard. This way, he would truly be able to help Longao. As soon as Yulong took his first step, Zhou Dian had already made his move. However, at this time, Longao had already attacked with the Primal Chaos Axe in his hand. This was because he knew very well that he only had one chance. This way, he could create a better opportunity for Yulong. Otherwise, once Zhou Dian reacted, it would be much more difficult for Yulong to leave. The first Primal Chaos 9 axes, Hell Devour. Before Zhou Dian could make his move or even react, the surrounding starry sky suddenly trembled violently. Moreover, black cracks appeared in the starry sky, madly devouring everything. It looked extremely terrifying. Zhou Dian was completely stunned because he didn't expect Longao to be able to shatter the starry sky. In his shock, he had already forgotten that Yulong wanted to leave. Until now, Zhou Dian finally understood why his son had summoned him. Unless it was a last resort, he believed that his son wouldn't summon him. Chapter 25-33. How did Longao do it? He couldn't figure it out. However, Zhou Dian's greed had reached its peak because he knew what it meant to be able to shatter the starry sky. If he could obtain such a heaven-defying secret, his strength would rise to another level. As for Yulong's life and death, Zhou Dian and Zhou Feng didn't care at all. Although Yulong's departure would make them lose face, they just needed to trap Longao. Zhou Dian's speed was very fast and he instantly dodged the space crack. his face was full of greed. Longao, I can give up the secret realm, but you have to tell me the secret. How about it? Trash. Since they were going to fight, there was no point in talking nonsense. This battle was unavoidable. Longao held the primal chaos axe and once again slashed at Zhou Dian. In fact, Longao could enter the primal chaos palace, but he had to create more time for Yulong to leave. Otherwise, with Zhou Dian's speed, he couldn't guarantee that he could catch up to Yulong. 3 minutes was enough. With the primal chaos 9 axes and the primal chaos axe, even Zhou Dian couldn't do anything to Longao. The more they fought, the more shocked they became. The more they fought, the more incredulous they felt. Zhou Dian never thought that a puny starry sky immortal could not only fight against him, but also bring him so much trouble. Because even with Zhou Dian's strength, he didn't dare to face the space crack head-on. He was very clear that if he was swallowed by the space crack, he would die without a doubt. In just an instant, the three of them fought again. 1 against 2, Longao didn't retreat half a step. Instead, he pressed on. Zhou Feng and Zhou Qiong attacked crazily from left and right. One was a peak starry sky immortal and the other was a half-step starry sky ruler. One could imagine their power when they joined forces. Even though Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the starry sky immortal realm and cultivated the primal chaos 9 axes, he gradually felt that he couldn't hold on against 2 opponents. In the blink of an eye, dozens of minutes had passed. Longao was sure that Yulong had left. Even if he chose to disappear now, Zhou Dian and Zhou Feng wouldn't be able to catch up to him. There was nothing wrong with continuing to fight, other than wasting his time. If it was just Zhou Feng alone, Longao might still have a chance. However, with the addition of Zhou Dian, the last remaining chance was gone. He disappeared in an instant. Right under the eyes of Zhou Feng and Zhou Dian, Longao disappeared without a trace. What exactly happened? Zhou Feng, of course, had seen Longao in such a state before. He also knew that Longao possessed a heaven-defying starry sky spirit artifact. But just now, he thought that with his father's appearance, he would be able to capture Longao easily. But he never imagined that even his father couldn't keep Longao here. Is this true? And it was still something unbelievable. Feng does Longao have a space god artifact? He nodded. Father, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you that Longao has a heaven-defying starry sky divine tool. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to contend against the 9 starry sky empires. By now, Zhou Feng was very clear about Longao's identity. He never imagined that Longao was such a legend. However, in his heart, he thought that Longao's strength wasn't that great. Instead, he had various divine abilities, including a space god artifact. Otherwise, with his strength alone, let alone 1 against 9, Longao would undoubtedly die in a one-on-one battle. Not daring to hide anything, Zhou Feng recounted everything that had happened and what he had heard in detail. After listening, Zhou Dian wasn't as angry as he had imagined. Father! Waving his hand, Zhou Dian, of course, knew what his son wanted to say. He smiled and said, "It seems that this Longao is very mysterious. If we can capture him, it will be very important for us." Zhou Feng wasn't so optimistic. Each of the 9 starry sky empires of the human race had a half-step starry sky ruler overseeing them. One could imagine how powerful they were. Zhou Feng still voiced his worries because the situation wasn't optimistic. If they could trap Longao, why would they wait for the 2 of them? He believed that the 9 starry sky empires would have already taken action. Zhou Dian nodded in agreement and said, "You've said a lot. Apart from that, our identities can't be leaked. It seems that we have to think carefully about what to do." Zhou Dian and Zhou Feng didn't continue to lock onto them because the 2 of them knew very well that even if they continued to stay, there wouldn't be much point. After confirming that the 2 of them had left, Longao, who was in the Primal Chaos Palace, quietly appeared. Fortunately, the Primal Chaos Palace was protecting him. Otherwise, who knew how many times he would have died? Longao looked in the direction that the two of them had left. He knew very well that if he didn't get rid of Zhou Dian and Zhou Feng, they would definitely come looking for him. Of course, Longao wasn't too worried about himself. He was only afraid that the Peak Massacre race would deal with the Empire behind him. After all, no one in the Empire could truly refine the Primal Chaos Tablet and become a Starry Sky ruler. He was confident that as long as he didn't reveal the Empire's whereabouts, it wouldn't be easy for someone to find the Empire's whereabouts. However, if the Empire was discovered by the Peak Massacre race, then things would be really bad. In order to prevent such a thing from happening, he had to get rid of Zhou Dian and Zhou Feng as soon as possible to prevent any future troubles. However, as one of the 6 major races, the Peak Massacre race's strength was obvious. Back then, they were able to fight against 10,000 people and contend against the entire vast starry sky. This was enough to explain everything. Longao's face was very solemn. He originally wanted to deal with the Peak Dragon race with all his strength and help Yulong take back the Peak Dragon race. However, now it seemed that he couldn't devote himself to the Peak Dragon race. What should he do? In the end, his strength was still not enough. Although his cultivation base had smoothly broken through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, he was still dumbfounded when he encountered a half-step Starry Sky ruler. Even if he used the Primal Chaos Axe and the Primal Chaos 9 axes, he wouldn't have any chance of killing the other party. However, if his cultivation base could reach a higher level and break through to the Peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm, then even if he didn't have a secret technique to protect himself, he could still fight and even suppress a half-step Starry Sky ruler with the Primal Chaos Axe and the Primal Chaos 9 axes. It had taken more than 200 years to break through from the Starry Sky Legend Realm to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm. Longao didn't know how long it would take for him to break through to the Peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm. Time waits for no one. It seemed that his top priority now was to do everything possible to break through his current realm as soon as possible. Chapter 25-34 Soaring Dragon Empire. Seeing Longao return safely, Yulong finally let out a sigh of relief. After explaining the situation, Longao got up and left. Yulong didn't have any unwillingness. He had waited for so long, a few more days wouldn't hurt. Taking a step back, even if he and Longao went to the Peak Dragon clan together, they wouldn't be able to shake the Peak Dragon clan. If it was before, it would be impossible for him to kill Yububi and take back the Peak Dragon clan. But now, the situation was different. Longao's cultivation speed was there. According to this cultivation speed, it would not be long before Longao's strength would stand at the true peak. Wait. There was only one way, and that was to wait. Wait for Longao to become strong, or wait for Xiling and the others to refine the Primal Chaos Tablet and become a space dominator. Then, he would be able to take back the Peak Dragon clan. Longao didn't tell anyone about the Peak Slaughter clan. He didn't want others to worry about it. 3 days later, news came from the vast space that someone had found the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin. Everyone came because everyone knew what the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin meant. Controlling the white-clothed girl was equivalent to obtaining primal chaos power. Not to mention normal space cultivators, even the 10 space dominators and 9 half-space dominators wouldn't give up. Longao also received the news. After 3 years together, he didn't want anything to happen to the white-clothed girl. The destination of the news was the first plane where Bai Jing was. The white-clothed girl appeared in her plane. Bai Jing didn't know if she should be happy or not. Even Bai Jing hoped that she could control the white-clothed girl. Because she couldn't devour the Primal Chaos Tablet, controlling the white-clothed girl seemed to be her only hope. What Bai Jing was worried about was the appearance of the white-clothed girl. She believed that countless people would come and a huge battle would be unavoidable. Strike first and gain the upper hand. With Bai Jing as the leader, Bai Hua led the 3 Space Eagles to lock onto the white-clothed girl. However, Bai Jing and the others were very afraid of the white-clothed girl. Although the white-clothed girl was not in her right mind, she would still occasionally attack. As the ruler of the stars who controlled the power of chaos, the white-clothed girl's strength was clear for all to see. Although it was just an occasional attack, it was believed that no one could withstand it. Back then, even the oracle was unable to withstand a single blow from the white-clothed girl. From this, one could imagine just how powerful the white-clothed girl was. Longao rushed to the first plane as fast as he could. About a few hours later, Longao had already arrived at the first realm and began to search for the white-clothed girl with all his might. Song Lin's tracks were erratic. Until now, no one had been able to pinpoint the exact location of the white-clothed girl. Longao had yet to find the white-robed young girl, but had instead encountered Bai Hua and the 3 Starry Skies Eagles. As for where Bai Jing had gone, he had no idea. Whether it was Bai Hua or the 3 Space Eagles, they were all true peak star sky immortals. If the 4 of them worked together, even Longao would feel a headache. Longao? Looking at Longao not far away, the 4 exchanged glances. The 4 of them naturally knew why Longao had suddenly appeared here. If they were not mistaken, Longao must have come for the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin. Longao did not speak, only coldly looking at the 4 in front of him. Longao did not bother to pay attention to the 4. He had stepped into the first plane mainly to find Song Lin. As for other matters, now was not the time to deal with them. But could Longao leave smoothly? Bai Hua and the other 3 had finally found Longao with great difficulty. If they chose to give up so easily, then the 4 of them would no longer be 4 people. Bai Hua and the other 3 faced the sky and laughed. Although they did not speak, their actions spoke for themselves. North, south, east, and west. Bai Hua and the 3 Space Eagles madly attacked Longao from all 4 directions. If they could get rid of Longao at this time, then the 4 of them would become famous in the vast starry sky. Since Longao's rise, no one, not even the 9 half-step starry sky rulers, could successfully kill Longao. Courting death, Longao sneered. Holding the primal chaos axe, he instantly used the first axe of the primal chaos 9 axes, Hell Devour. The cold hell instantly enveloped the 4. Before the 4 of them could react, cracks appeared in the starry sky around them, constantly roaring and roaring. The 4 of them were completely frightened. The 4 of them did not care much about Longao's cultivation breakthrough. In their opinion, whether Longao was a starry sky legend or a starry sky immortal, it was all the same. In their eyes, Longao was nothing. If Longao did not rely on the starry sky god tool and relied on his own strength, he would not have survived until now. The 4 of them found that Longao's heaven-defying divine ability seemed to have become stronger again. Whether it was the power or the accuracy, it was far superior to before. Even the 4 of them did not dare to face the cracks in the starry sky head-on. With their strength, if they were swallowed by the cracks, they would undoubtedly die. The 4 of them were frightened. Even if Longao's divine ability was heaven-defying, it was impossible for him to fight 1 against 4. However, shattering the starry sky was indeed heaven-defying. It would be a lie to say that they were not afraid. Under normal circumstances, 1 against 4, especially Universe Undyings against 4 Peak Universe Undyings, 1 would definitely die. However, Longao's situation was completely different. He had a heaven-defying god art. Not only did he not lose, but he was also closing in. The 4 of them looked gloomy, because if this situation continued, even if the 4 of them didn't lose, this matter would be considered as extremely embarrassing. After all, Longao was only one person, and he was only an immortal. The gap between him and the four of them was too big. Counterattack. The four of them, who were being pressured by Longao, seemed to be stimulated and began to counterattack crazily. In this way, Longao began to struggle. However, according to the current situation, neither side could do anything to the other. Whether it was Bai Hua, the four of them, or Longao, they were all aware of this situation. They were very depressed. As peak starry sky immortals, the four of them were strong enough to look down on the starry sky. However, they were helpless against a mere starry sky immortal. It was really unbelievable. Thinking of this, the four of them decided that no matter what happened, they would do whatever it took to keep Longao here. Otherwise, they would not be able to answer to the great ancestor. If it was the previous Longao, he might have been defeated. However, with the improvement of his cultivation base, the current Longao was not the same as before. P.S. All 5 chapters have been delivered. Chapter 25-35. The more they fought, the more anxious they became. Bai Hua and the others gradually lost their confidence. Although they were unwilling, they knew very well that if they kept fighting like this, there wouldn't be any result. It would just be a waste of time. What should they do? Should they just give up? They were unwilling. The four's attacks became more and more frantic. Even so, Longao still countered every move, and even brought danger to them several times. Longao, the green mountain will not change, the green water will flow forever, we will meet again. In desperation, the four could only choose to leave first and wait for this matter to be reported to the old ancestor to decide how to deal with it. Longao was no longer the same as before. Even if the four joined forces, they couldn't trap Longao. Longao also didn't intend to keep them. If it was a one-on-one situation, he might be able to kill them. However, 1 against 10, Longao knew his limit. Not to mention, he didn't enter the first plane to start a war with the number 1 Starry Sky Empire. His real goal was to lock onto Tsang Lin's location. No matter what, he had to find Tsang Lin first. In the distance, the four's expression was very gloomy because until now, they hadn't reacted. Even if Longao's cultivation base had smoothly broken through to the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, his strength seemed to be a bit too powerful. If it was only Longao's strength, it would be fine. However, the most depressing thing was that Longao's Shatter Starry Sky was a heaven-defying sacred art. It hadn't been seen for many years, and it was even more powerful than before. The 3 of you, what do you think we should do now? How could the 3 Starry Sky Eagles not know what Bai Hua meant? If this matter was told to the old ancestor, not to mention whether the old ancestor would blame them, they would lose face. 3 peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm experts working together couldn't even deal with a small Starry Sky Immortal Realm expert. It was simply too embarrassing. Before this, as everyone knew, the reason why the 9 great Starry Sky Empires couldn't deal with Longao was because Longao had a heaven-defying Starry Sky God tool. Not to mention ordinary Starry Sky cultivators, even 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers couldn't lock onto Longao's heaven-defying Starry Sky divine weapon. If Longao hid in a Starry Sky spirit artifact, then it would be fine. But now? That was not the case at all. From the beginning to the end, Longao did not enter the Starry Sky spirit artifact. Instead, he chose to face them head-on. The difference in strength between the 2 sides was clear at a glance. In a head-on clash, neither of them had successfully killed Longao. It was a great humiliation. It was a complete humiliation. Sky Eagle thought for a moment before replying in a solemn voice, "Based on my guess, Longao must have had a fortuitous encounter over the years." The 3 of them did not say anything, but they all nodded in agreement. Other than that, they couldn't think of any other possibility. Longao is only at the starry sky immortal realm now. If he breaks through to the starry sky immortal realm, then even if the four of us join forces, we won't be his match. Sky Eagle did not finish his word. What he meant was that based on Longao's current strength, once Longao successfully broke through to the starry sky immortal realm, then even if the four of them joined forces, they would still be no match for Longao. When that time came, the result of a head-on clash could be imagined. Hearing Sky Eagle's words, the other three's faces grew gloomier, because they had also thought of this. But since things have come to this, we'd better tell Master the truth. The three nodded. As Longao stepped into the first plane, countless people, including other half-step Starry Sky rulers and Starry Sky rulers, came one after another, frantically trying to locate the white-clothed girl. And the result? The white-clothed girl seemed to have evaporated from the world, and no one could locate her at all. The 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers would definitely choose to form an alliance to find Longao, but now that the white-clothed girl was tempting them, it was already good enough that the 9 of them did not fight each other. It was impossible for them to continue forming an alliance. Each of them formed their own camp, hoping to find the white-clothed girl in the shortest time possible. Time passed by little. Unknowingly, 3 months had passed as time passed by. Some people had seen the white-clothed girl, but she was too fast, and no one could catch up to her. Fortunately, the white-clothed girl was not in her right mind, otherwise, no one would dare to approach her. Even the oracle was no match for the white-clothed girl. One could only imagine how powerful the white-clothed girl was. After 3 months of searching, in the end, everyone chased the white-clothed girl to a mysterious valley. There was no plane around, and it was very eerie and terrifying. But even so, countless people came one after another. The reason was simple: everyone wanted to control the white-clothed girl, and then take the Chaos Stone Tablet, Crystal Coffin, and control the Chaos Energy. Be it the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet or the Primal Chaos Energy, both were simply too tempting. Not only that, but the main reason why everyone dared to chase after the white-clothed girl was because the white-clothed girl wasn't in a clear state of mind. Aside from occasionally attacking, she was like a wooden puppet. Outside the mysterious valley, surrounded by black fog, one could feel a terrifying aura from the valley without even stepping into it. And according to everyone's guess, although it was a valley, it was equivalent to a plain. If not for the white-clothed girl, no one would have discovered this mysterious plain. All the powerhouses of the 9 great Starry Sky empires were present, but none of the 12 Starry Sky rulers were present. No one knew whether the Starry Sky rulers were here or not, but even if they were, no one cared. Because if they were lucky, once they controlled the white-clothed girl and obtained her Chaos Stone Tablet, they could soar to the sky. At that time, they could ignore the Starry Sky rulers and become the strongest powerhouse in the vast Starry Sky. Longao did not disguise himself this time, but stood openly outside the mysterious plain. That's Longao. He dared to fight against the 9 great Starry Sky empires alone, and he's still alive. If I didn't see him with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. According to the rumors, Longao's strength is not that great, and he seems to be just a legend. The reason he dared to fight against the 9 great Starry Sky empires is because he has a heaven-defying cosmic artifact. Even a half-step Starry Sky ruler can't lock onto this heaven-defying cosmic artifact. If I can get my hands on such a heaven-defying cosmic artifact, how great would that be? Just thinking about it makes me excited. Chapter 25-36. Discussions broke out all around. Longao didn't care at all. Instead, he stared at the mysterious valley in front of him. Even he could clearly sense that the mysterious valley in front of him wasn't simple at all. If he casually stepped in, he might even die inside, let alone locate Song Lin's location. Longao's fear was the same as everyone else's. If it were any other time, Longao's appearance would definitely lead to the joint attack of the 9 great starry sky empires. However, the situation now was very different. The white-clothed girl was more important. They had to deal with her first. As for Longao, they could deal with him later. The mysterious valley was right in front of them, but no one dared to step in. A mysterious place. Father, do we have to stay here forever? Yidugu was very depressed because he didn't know what was in the mysterious valley. Even his father didn't dare to step in casually. He was very curious. Even if his father hadn't truly mastered the power of chaos, he could definitely go anywhere in the vast starry sky with his strength. In that case, what was going on? He couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. The marvelous mathematician's face was very solemn. After so many years, there weren't many things that could make the marvelous mathematician like this. Dugu, I know what you're thinking. However, the mysterious valley before us is actually a mysterious plain. Although I haven't set foot in it yet, I can say with certainty that there seems to be something in this mysterious plain. Even I don't dare to casually set foot in it. After hearing his father's words, Yidugu was completely stunned. He never thought that his father would say such a thing. Didn't this mean that the mysterious plain in front of them was a great deterrent to his father? If he hadn't heard it from his father's own mouth, he would have found it hard to believe. Father, what should we do now? After thinking for a while, the marvelous mathematician said, the white-clothed girl must have temporarily lost her consciousness because of something. Therefore, we don't have much time. Even Yidugu had thought of this point. Because of this, Yidugu knew very well that they had to find the white-clothed girl as soon as possible. According to the current situation, the longer they delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for them. To be on the safe side, let's not step in. I believe it won't be long before the white-clothed girl comes out. Master God Diviner's intentions were clear. As long as the white-clothed girl appeared, no one present would be her match. There was no need to take risk. No one from the 9 great starry sky empire dared to enter the mysterious valley, but that did not mean that no one dared to enter. As time slowly passed, some people could no longer sit still. They stood up and headed towards the mysterious valley. If there was a first, there would be a second. If there was a second, there would be a third, a fourth, and even a fifth, sixth, and seventh. Many people began to appear in the surroundings, and they all rushed madly into the mysterious valley. One after another, they looked densely packed. Ancestor, what should we do now? Seeing everyone enter the mysterious valley, including Longao, Bai Hua could no longer sit still. If the white-clothed girl was controlled by someone else, they wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. However, Bai Jing shook her head and said, the mysterious plain before us is very dangerous. Let alone us, even the ruler of stars wouldn't dare to set foot on it. Bai Jing wasn't stupid. She knew that even astral ruler wouldn't dare go there. She believed that the mysterious plain must be dangerous. If even astral ruler was afraid of it, then there was no need for her and the others to be afraid. Bai Hua seemed to want to say something, but in the end she swallowed her words. She had the same idea as Bai Jing. The other half-step astral rulers also didn't casually step into the mysterious plain. They also strictly ordered their people to not step into the mysterious plain without permission. Even so, there were still countless people who stepped into the mysterious plain, including Longao. Under normal circumstances, he would definitely not step into it. But the situation was completely different now. With so many people entering the mysterious plain, if Tsang Lin was unlucky and was controlled by these people, then he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. It was with this in mind that Longao stepped into the mysterious plain without hesitation. Even if he knew that the mysterious plain was dangerous, he still chose to enter. Knowing that there were tigers in the mountain, he still went to the mountain. When everyone stepped into the mysterious valley, black fog lingered around them. Even with their strength, they still couldn't see the situation around them. In this case, they could only go by instinct, but it was more about luck than strength. If they were lucky, not only would they be able to enter smoothly, they might even be able to control the white-robed girl. If they were unlucky, then not only would they not be able to control the white-robed girl, they might not even be able to leave this place alive. The people who entered the mysterious valley were not fools. Since the people of the 9 starry sky empires did not dare to casually enter, they believed that there must be danger inside. Because of this, without the deterrence of the 9 starry sky empires, the people who entered wanted to try their luck. Longao purposely distanced himself from the crowd. He had the protection of the Chaos Palace. No matter what danger it was, as long as he stepped into the Chaos Palace, he believed that he would be safe. Step by step, Longao didn't dare to be careless. He focused 120% of his attention. Even he couldn't sense the situation around him. He could only rely on his instincts to move forward step by step. Step by step, step by step, step by step. They didn't know how many steps they had taken, but there was still no movement around them. The more it was like this, the more they didn't dare to be careless. After all, no one knew what was going on. It was better to be safe than sorry. Gang Mu, Yi Chong, Jin Chen, Hua Lili. Looking at the 4 of them, Longao's face changed. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. He hadn't expected to meet his enemies here. Gang Mu and the other 3 were peak Starry Sky immortals. Other than the half-step Starry Sky rulers and Starry Sky rulers, the 4 of them were the strongest in this place. It would be a lie if he said that he wasn't worried. This was because Longao knew very well that if the 4 of them found Song Lin while she was still unconscious, things would become very troublesome. If it was a one-on-one battle, of course, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone. However, if it was a 1-on-4 battle, then even he wouldn't be able to successfully kill all 4 of them. At most, he would be able to win. Kill the 4 of them first? At the thought of this, Longao didn't continue on his way. Instead, he followed them silently. Chapter 25-37. The 4 of them had been locking on to Longao's position, but until now, there had been no news. However, after many days of locking onto him, the 4 of them finally understood the legend of Longao. They were very surprised, because the 4 of them never imagined that Longao would be so arrogant. 1 against 9, going against 9 great starry sky empires. If it were anyone else, they believed that they would have been killed by the 9 great starry sky empires. Only Longao, with his heaven-defying starry sky divine artifact, could ignore anyone's lock-on, including half-step starry sky rulers. The 4 of them discovered Longao outside, but under such circumstances, the 4 of them forced themselves to endure. The best plan was to deal with the white-robed girl first. Even the 4 of them couldn't resist the temptation of the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet and Primal Chaos Power. The 4 of them didn't know that Longao was following them. In their opinion, it was already very good that they didn't go looking for Longao. Even if Longao was given 10,000 guts, they believed that Longao wouldn't dare to take the initiative to come looking for them. Be careful. Just as the 4 of them kept moving forward, they suddenly sensed that someone was attacking them from behind. The 4 of them were completely stunned, because the 4 of them never imagined that someone would dare to sneak attack them with their strength. This was simply courting death. The 4 of them reacted pretty well, forcibly dodging the attack. Terrifying cracks in the starry sky began to appear around them, roaring and roaring, shattering the starry sky. The 4 of them didn't even need to turn their heads to guess who the person who ambushed the 4 of them was, because in the entire vast starry sky, other than Longao who could do this, they really couldn't figure out who could do this. Besides Longao, perhaps even the 12 starry sky rulers and 9 half-step starry sky rulers couldn't do this. Shattering the starry sky, Longao could be said to be unprecedented. Longao? Looking at Longao in front of them, the faces of the four people were gloomy to the extreme. It was as ugly as it could get, because the four of them didn't expect that Longao would really sneak attack them. This was simply courting death. Longao smiled. The four of you, it's been a while since we last met. It seems like you've been doing well. Courting death. The faces of the four people became increasingly gloomy. Longao was a great humiliation to them, because under normal circumstances, not to mention the four of them joining forces, even if any one of them appeared, it would be easy to deal with a Starry Sky legend. Even if Longao had successfully broken through to the Starry Sky immortal realm, he was still no match for the four of them. But what was the result? Previously, they had tried to kill Longao several times, but they had not succeeded. If this wasn't a great humiliation, then what was? He felt helpless. Longao, we don't have time to waste with you at this time. After this matter is over, we will naturally look for you. The intentions of the four were clear. Although killing Longao was very important, compared to the white-clothed girl, it was not even worth mentioning. Regarding the four people's intentions, how could Longao not know? The more they acted like this, the more Longao would not let them go. Even if he couldn't kill the four of them with his strength, it was more than enough to delay them. As for the white-clothed girl's safety, Longao was not worried at all. If something had happened to the white-clothed girl, he believed that something would have happened long ago instead of waiting until now. Cut the weeds and eliminate the root. This time, Longao did not say much nonsense. With a stride, he rushed out. Before he arrived, his terrifying strength had already arrived. It was impossible for Longao to be a match for the four of them. However, with the primal chaos axe in his hand, Longao's strength would probably double. The terrifying Starry Sky crack roared and crazily swallowed the four of them. The four of them were completely dumbfounded. Of course, the four of them knew that Longao could shatter the Starry Sky. However, they had not expected that Longao's shattering Starry Sky would be this strong. Even the four of them did not dare to take it head-on. After all, if they were swallowed by the Starry Sky crack, they would definitely die. If they said that they weren't wary, they would be lying. At the end of the day, the four of them were still duped by Longao. Retreating continuously, they did not want to take it head-on with Longao as they turned around and left hurriedly. Because of Longao's sudden interference, the four of them could no longer care about whether there was any danger in the valley. Their speed increased to the maximum. When the surrounding people saw this, they were afraid that the four of them would find the white-clothed girl first. Hence, their speed increased as well. Each of them had their own ulterior motives. Ha 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 ha. Longao did not say anything as he laughed out maniacally. The meaning behind his laughter was clear. The faces of the four of them were extremely terrible right now. However, the shattering Starry Sky that the other party had just used was simply way too scary. If it were any other time, they would have just taken it head-on. But right now, be it because of fear or the white-clothed girl, none of them wanted to take it head-on. The speed of the four of them was pushed to the maximum. Coupled with this mysterious valley, it didn't take long for the four of them to disappear without a trace. Longao did not continue chasing after them. Since he had already stepped into this valley, he would definitely bump into them later on. No matter what happened this time around, he had to kill the four of them smoothly. He had to ensure that there would be no future troubles. Countless people stepped into the mysterious valley and rushed towards the only passageway in a frenzy. Everyone's speed was extremely fast. About an hour later, in front of everyone was no longer the passageway of the valley. Instead, it was a boundless plain. It was similar to an ordinary plain. Everyone stepped into the plain one by one. Looking at their surroundings, everyone's faces were filled with shock. Everyone, including Longao, was a little surprised because this realm didn't seem to have any problems on the surface. However, after sensing it just now, the aura here was very special. Once it was forcefully inhaled, this aura would even erode his bloodline and spirit. With his cultivation base at this level, Longao was naturally able to swallow the airflow outside. Originally, he had been following the four of them, hoping that he could successfully kill them. However, after entering this realm, he could no longer find any trace of the four of them. Sensing left and right, Longao repeatedly confirmed that he still couldn't find any trace of the four of them. It wasn't an easy task to lock onto the position of the four of them in such a large realm. He shrugged helplessly. Since he had temporarily lost track of the four of them, he might as well lock onto Tsang Lin's position now. He was very concerned about Tsang Lin's safety. Thinking of this, Longao did not hesitate at all. With a stride, his speed was extremely fast. In a short while, he had already disappeared without a trace. After everyone stepped into the realm, they scattered to look around. Under such circumstances, to find the white-clothed girl's trace, it wasn't relying on strength but luck. Strength alone was not enough. Chapter 2538. Mysterious Plain. In a very hidden and dense forest, a white figure appeared in a flash. Its speed was as fast as a shooting star. Right at this moment, a huge crystal coffin stretched across the depths of the dense forest. Tsang Lin stood quietly in front of the crystal coffin, staring at it. There was no one around, only towering trees. Tsang Lin was still in a daze. Her eyes were empty and she was still delirious. Finally, someone found traces of the white-clothed girl. As time slowly passed, more and more people gathered here. At a glance, there were people everywhere. However, even if they found the white-clothed girl, no one dared to casually take a step forward. Longao, Gangmu, and the other three had also rushed here. Longao's situation was different from the others. He could approach Tsang Lin without fear, but he didn't do so because he didn't want others to know about his relationship with Tsang Lin. Longao discovered Gangmu and the other three, and they also discovered Longao. However, neither side made a move. Wait and see. Everyone was waiting for an opportunity because no one could be sure that the white-clothed girl wouldn't make a move. If she did, then no one here would be able to withstand her attack. There was no doubt about it. What should we do? Who knows? Although we've already locked onto the white-clothed girl's position, her strength is there for all to see. Even the diviner couldn't resist her, let alone us. There was a lot of discussion in the surroundings. Before locking onto the white-clothed girl, everyone hoped that they could lock onto her first. However, when they really locked onto her position, no one dared to casually take a step forward. In the end, they were still afraid of the white-clothed girl. Since the white-clothed girl didn't move, no one dared to move. Just like that, they waited and waited. Time passed bit by bit. After an unknown period of time, some people finally couldn't wait any longer. One after another, they moved towards the white-clothed girl at an extremely fast speed. With the first person, there would be a second person, a third person, a fourth person, and even a fifth person. At a glance, there were at least a few hundred people swarming towards her. They thought that the white-clothed girl was delirious and would definitely fall into their hands. However, the result shocked everyone. The white-clothed girl still didn't move. However, anyone who approached the white-clothed girl was enveloped by a mysterious white light before they could even react. They disappeared without a trace. The mysterious white light was released from the crystal coffin. Everyone was scared silly. What was the crystal coffin? It released such a terrifying white light. None of the people who were enveloped by it were spared and turned into smoke. Looking at the hundreds of people who had already fallen, everyone retreated. One after another. Faces of shock. Faces of disbelief. Longao was also a little shocked, because he never thought that the white light released from the crystal coffin would be so terrifying. From this, it could be seen that the crystal coffin was definitely not simple. What Longao thought of, the others also thought of. Apart from shock, there was more greed on everyone's faces. Aside from the white-clothed girl's chaos tablet and chaos force, the crystal coffin was also a treasure that everyone wanted to obtain. This was because the power that the crystal coffin had just displayed was simply too tempting. With the previous example, no one dared to take a step closer to him. It would be a lie to say that they weren't afraid. Longao still didn't make a move. Instead, he felt relieved. Previously, he was afraid that someone could really control Songlin. But now, he didn't have any worries. The best thing to do now was to not do anything. That way, it might be beneficial to both him and Songlin. The dense forest started to slowly turn dark. The surrounding airflow also started to turn dark red. One could almost see it with the naked eye. What the hell happened? No one knew. However, those who dared to step into the mysterious valley weren't easy to deal with. There were almost no cultivators below grade 9 starry sky cultivators. Everyone became extra careful as they carefully sensed the changes in the airflow around them. This was because everyone could clearly sense that the surroundings were a little different. No one knew what was going on. Where is she? Everyone looked at the situation in the distance and felt shocked. They were all dumbfounded and didn't know what to say. The white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin had disappeared into thin air right under their noses. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. Not to mention the others, even Longao didn't know what had happened, because he had been staring at Songlin and the crystal coffin. But even so, they still disappeared without a trace. However, Longao didn't have the slightest worry because he had full confidence that Songlin would be fine. Otherwise, something would have happened to Songlin during the time she was away. Where did Songlin go? Anyway, he didn't know where Songlin went. Longao pointed the spearhead at Gangmu and the other three. He could take advantage of this opportunity to get rid of as many of them as possible. If he was lucky, he could get rid of all 4 of them at once. That would be great for him. However, this time, Longao learned his lesson and didn't make a move directly. He was too careless before and was discovered by the 4 at first glance. In the end, he didn't manage to do anything. No matter what happened, he had to succeed this time. Even if he could only kill one of them, it would be worth it. Connecting to the Primal Chaos Palace, Longao was ready at any time. Even if there was danger, as long as he entered the Primal Chaos Palace, not to mention the 4 of them joining forces, even a Starry Sky ruler or a half-step Starry Sky ruler wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Others might not know about the power of the Primal Chaos Palace, but how could he not know about it? The Primal Chaos Axe appeared in his right hand and Longao used spatial teleportation. It only took him 2 spatial teleportations to appear behind the 4. If it was under normal circumstances, the 4 of them would have discovered Longao's trace immediately. However, the current situation was a bit special. The 4 of them were all focused on the white-clothed girl and the crystal coffin. It was precisely because of this that Longao seized this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a move. While the 4 of them were still thinking about the white-clothed girl, the surrounding space began to tremble violently. The 4 of them instantly thought of something and immediately began to dodge. However, this time, Longao thought it through and decided to concentrate on one of them. Among the 4 of them, Longao directly chose Huaboli. He attacked with all his strength. The terrifying Primal Chaos 9 axes, the first axe, Hell Devouring, directly covered Huaboli. Chapter 2539. Ah! Save me! Save me! Huaburi was caught off guard and was hit by Longao's attack. His body was instantly enveloped by the space crack. Although Longao had just broken through to the starry sky undying realm, his strength wasn't any weaker than a peak starry sky undying. Plus, he had the primal Chaos Axe and Chaos 9 axes, as well as grasping space. Gang Mu and the other two stared blankly at the scene before them. None of them dared to move. The three were completely shocked. Of course, they knew how powerful the space crack was, but they didn't expect Longao's strength to be so terrifying. Under one move, Huaburi didn't even have a chance to fight back. Endless pain. Miserable screams echoed throughout the dense forest. Many people were looking in this direction. Without exception, everyone who saw this scene turned pale with fright. The surrounding starry sky fissures devoured Hua Blaisai, not giving him any chance to fight back at all as they madly devoured him. Just like that, Huaburi was devoured bit by the surrounding space cracks. In just a few seconds, Huaburi disappeared without a trace. Killing Huaburi with one move, was this real? However, Huaburi was a true peak starry sky undying. Even if a peak starry sky undying sneak attacked him, it was impossible to kill him. It was something that was impossible, but it had become possible for Longao. They swallowed their saliva. Gang Mu and the other two were still unable to react. Longao, you. Longao waved his hand, stopping Gang Mu from speaking. He sneered. Gang Mu, Yi Chong, Jin Chen, the grudge between you and me has reached a point where only one of us can live. Even if I don't kill you, I believe you won't let me go. Am I right? No one in the surroundings moved an inch. On one side were three peak starry sky undying, on the other was a super genius who had just killed a peak starry sky undying. Neither side was easy to provoke. Both sides stared at each other. Not to mention others, even Longao was surprised. He didn't expect that he could kill Huaburi with one move. He was pleasantly surprised. At the same time, he was excited. Under normal circumstances, even if he was strong enough to kill a pinnacle universe undying, it would still take a long time. However, the biggest reason why Lin Fan could kill Huabli with a single move was because of his carelessness. He heaved a sigh of relief. Since then, he could easily ambush them again, as long as he did so carefully. The remaining three pinnacle universe undyings wouldn't be able to defend against his ambush. Continue. Longao didn't want to waste any more words because the relationship between him and the three of them had already reached the point where it would only end with one of them dead. There was no point in saying anything more. Seeing that Longao was about to turn around and leave, the trio's faces became increasingly gloomy. Gang Mu suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Longao, do you want to leave like this? It was just a joke. Longao killed Hua Boli in front of their eyes. If the Longao left just like that, then where would their face go? They felt helpless. However, since it had already happened, they had to think of a way to resolve it. If it was any other time, whether Hua Boli died or not wouldn't concern the three of them. However, the current situation was different. They were surrounded by people. If they let Longao leave just like that, the three of them wouldn't be able to back down. Longao turned around and looked at the three not far away. He smiled and said, Do you guys want to follow in his footsteps? If the Longao from before dared to say such words, the three of them would definitely scoff and not take it to heart. But now? The situation was completely different. Regardless of Longao's strength, just the fact that he could kill Hua Boli in one move was enough to explain everything. If they chose to fight him head-on, the three of them wouldn't have any problems. However, under such circumstances, Longao definitely wouldn't fight them head-on. The moment he chose to ambush them, they might follow in Hua Boli's footsteps. It would be a lie to say they weren't worried. The best way was to do everything possible to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, so as to eliminate all future troubles. However, the three of them didn't have the slightest confidence because everyone knew that Longao had a heaven-defying divine tool that could enter and exit Longao's body at will. Not to mention them, according to rumors, even a half-step starry sky ruler wouldn't be able to lock onto this heaven-defying divine tool in Longao's hands. Longao, you don't have to boast shamelessly here. You only dare to ambush us. If you have the ability, fight us head-on. If we lose, you don't have to do anything. We'll kill ourselves here. How about it? Provocation. The three of them hoped that their provocation would force Longao to fight them head-on. Perhaps they were very afraid of Longao's sneak attack and assassination. However, if they were to fight face-to-face, then there was no doubt that even if the three of them joined hands, any one of them could easily deal with Longao. The three of them were very confident about this. How could Longao not know what the three of them were thinking? He sneered inwardly but said, "You three don't have to use provocation here. If you want a fair fight, you have to look at a fair opponent. Talk about fairness with a few shameless things." Just as Longao said this, someone in the crowd burst into laughter. The laughter was completely mocking the three of them. As dignified peak starry sky immortals, how could the three of them stand it? Before the crowd could finish laughing, the three of them attacked. There wasn't even a scream before the crowd fell to the ground, dying a tragic death. Seeing this, the rest of the crowd retreated one after another, looking in horror at the three peak starry sky immortals who had returned to their original spot. The three of them relied on their valiant strength to kill several people without putting the crowd in their eyes. However, the strength of the three of them was there for all to see. Even if you didn't laugh, no one would say a word even if the three of them attacked and killed you. They didn't dare to say anything. This was a world where strength was respected. If you had strength, you could have everything. If you didn't have strength, you couldn't even decide your own life. This was the cruel reality. With the lesson of the past, no one dared to laugh because the three of them were furious to the extreme. Anyone who dared to provoke the three of them at this juncture would be courting death. No one wasn't afraid of death. It was as if they were afraid of being implicated. Everyone in the crowd retreated once again, hiding as far as they could. Some even turned around and left. If they sacrificed their lives just to watch the show, it wouldn't be worth it. Chapter 2540. The three of them didn't care about the crowd's fear. As pinnacle universe undyings, their statuses were there for all to see. Other than the 12 universe rulers and 9 half-step universe rulers, they were the strongest in the vast universe. Below the rulers, everyone else was an ant. Similarly, below peak universe undyings, everyone else was an ant. In a short few minutes, about half of the crowd had left the forest. If the white-clothed girl was still there, perhaps they wouldn't leave for her. However, in the current situation, there wasn't much point in staying. With just you guys? The faces of the three people were very gloomy because, as dignified pinnacle rulers of the starry sky, they were provoked by a little Longao. It was simply disgraceful. Still the same words. Without sneak attacks, they weren't afraid of Longao at all. Since things were already like this, they might as well kill Longao as soon as possible to avoid future troubles. The three were very clear that if they didn't kill Longao now, they would be in deep trouble. By then, Longao would be like a ghost. Under such circumstances, the three of them would be at a disadvantage. They didn't waste any more words. The three rushed forward. 3 peak universe undyings working together, one could imagine how terrifying it would be. Longao knew his limit. With his strength alone, in a 1v3 situation, it was impossible for him to kill the three of them. Since he knew it was impossible, why did he still insist on doing it? Besides wasting time, it wouldn't do him any good. In an instant, Longao's figure disappeared from everyone's sight. The three of them naturally knew what was going on. Many of the surrounding people had heard of it, but this was the first time they saw it. In the vast universe, there were countless universe god weapons. among which the most extravagant and hard to obtain were the defensive universe god weapons and the spatial universe god weapons. However, spatial universe god weapons had limitations. If the difference in level was too great, they would definitely be locked on by the strong. Let alone 3 peak universe undyings. Longao's spatial universe god weapon, not only peak universe undyings couldn't do anything to it, even half-step universe rulers couldn't lock on to it. From this, it could be seen. In the vast starry sky, only the 12 rulers of the starry sky could lock onto Longao's starry sky divine weapon. However, the starry sky rulers had always been elusive, and under normal circumstances, the 12 starry sky rulers would not intervene in the affairs of the vast starry sky. What should we do now? Gang Mu's face was very gloomy because as Longao was alive, they would not be able to rest in peace. They couldn't go on like this. However, Longao had a heaven-defying starry sky spirit artifact protecting him. As long as they didn't clash head-on, they wouldn't be able to do anything to Longao. It was precisely because of this. That was why Longao was so fearless. He didn't even fear a so-called peak starry sky immortal, and he even dared to contend against a half-step starry sky ruler. Gang Mu's heart was filled with greed. If he could obtain such a heaven-defying starry sky divine artifact, then he wouldn't have to fear even a half-step starry sky ruler, let alone an expert of the same level. Yi Chong and Jin Chen certainly knew what Gang Mu meant. Their faces didn't look too good either. The scene just now was still vivid in their minds. Fortunately, Longao had gone all out to deal with Hua Buli, and not the 3 of them. Yi Chong and Jin Chen even thought that if Longao had gone all out to deal with the 2 of them, then the one who would have died would not have been Hua Buli, but the 2 of them. After thinking for a while, Gang Mu, Yi Chong, the current situation is very unfavorable for us. Although the 3 of us can ignore Longao if we join forces, we can't always be on guard against sneak attacks and assassinations. Sigh, we know this, but we really can't do anything. What should they do? The 3 of them sighed deeply at the same time because this situation was very special. They wanted to do something, but they were powerless. They could only watch Longao constantly provoke them. The only way to kill Longao is to get rid of the starry sky spirit artifact in Longao's hands. Otherwise, we won't even have a chance, Gang Mu said helplessly. However, since things had already come to this, they could only take one step at a time. Forget it. Let's put Longao's matter aside for the time being. From now on, we must be extra careful. We can't give Longao any chance. Jin Chen and Yi Chong nodded. Of course, they knew what Gang Mu meant. Longao had the starry sky spirit artifact and could appear at will. If the 3 of them were careless, they would be doomed eternally. Our top priority now is to quickly locate the white-clothed girl. The 3 of them looked very serious. Longao was a big trouble. They had to deal with the white-clothed girl first. As for the white-clothed girl, she hadn't appeared since she disappeared. No matter who it was, no one could locate the white-clothed girl. Inside the Chaos Palace, after confirming that the 3 of them had left, Longao sneered. This time, the sneak attack and assassination went very smoothly. If it could go so smoothly every time, then at most 3 times the remaining 3 people would fall. At that time, it would save him a lot of trouble. Longao was almost certain that Song Lin was safe. Not to mention the people here. Even the starry sky rulers outside might not be able to locate Song Lin. Longao found it funny because there was almost no danger in this mysterious plane. It was a pity that the 10 starry sky rulers and 9 half-step starry sky rulers outside didn't dare to take even half a step into this plane. He wondered if everyone would regret it if they knew about this. Not long after the 3 of them left, Longao left the Chaos Palace and chased after them. They were looking for opportunities to continue their sneak attacks and assassinations. Longao knew that because he had just killed Hua Boli, the three of them must be on guard. If he attacked at this time, not only would he fail to kill the three of them, but he would also lose more than he gained. As time went by, no matter if it was Gang Mu, Longao, or anyone else who entered the dense forest, no matter how hard they walked, they couldn't get out of the dense forest without any exception. What was going on? Everyone knew that things weren't that simple. Otherwise, why couldn't they walk out? It was like they were going in circles, making everyone confused. Even Longao gradually realized that something was wrong. He had tried many times, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get out of the dense forest. No one knew what was going on. Chapter 2541. Everyone was trapped in the forest. They were scattered everywhere. Longao wasn't worried at all because he had the Primal Chaos Palace. As long as the surrounding space wasn't locked, he could step into the Primal Chaos Palace at will. He released his primordial spirit to see if he could sense Song Lin's traces. Intuition told him that if nothing unexpected happened, Song Lin was definitely still in the forest. He didn't find anything. He shrugged helplessly. He didn't know what was going on with Song Lin. Until now, he still didn't know Song Lin's identity and origin. At this moment, miserable cries came from all directions. It was very miserable, causing people to shudder when they heard it. Those who were fine felt fear in their hearts when they heard the miserable screams. Their faces turned gloomy because they didn't know what was going on. Longao also heard the miserable cries from all around, and his expression was similarly solemn. It seemed like this forest wasn't simple. Strictly speaking, this mysterious plane wasn't simple. No wonder the 10 universe rulers and 9 half-step universe rulers didn't dare to casually step into this place. There was something fishy about this place. The more it was so, the more Longao had to be careful. Song Lin? Just as Longao was sensing everywhere, a white figure suddenly appeared in front of him. It wasn't anyone else but Song Lin whom Longao and the others were looking for. Longao was very surprised. Song Lin was really elusive. When he wanted to lock onto Song Lin didn't appear. Just when he was unprepared, he never thought that Song Lin would actually appear like this. Song Lin was still at a loss. Her eyes were empty as she stared blankly at Longao. She didn't speak and just stared. Shrugging helplessly, Longao felt depressed. Song Lin wasn't in a clear state of mind. Even if he said more, it would be nonsense. He might as well save his energy. The crystal coffin had disappeared. Song Lin came to Longao's side and returned to her previous state. She didn't leave his side at all. Longao was very depressed. If Song Lin continued to follow him like this, then even if he could successfully leave this positional plane, it would be very difficult for him to deal with the starry sky experts outside. What should he do? No matter how he thought about it, he couldn't think of a good idea for the time being. With no other choice, Longao did not plan to leave for the time being. Moreover, this place was like a maze. Even if he wanted to leave, he was afraid that he would not be able to leave this place for the time being. Helplessly, he sat on the ground. Song Lin stood quietly beside Longao without saying a word. Screams of agony could still be heard from all around. Many people had entered the mysterious plane this time, but even so, at this rate, they wouldn't be able to hold on for long. As for what had happened, no one knew. Song Lin, who exactly are you? You've been following me. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. In any case, Song Lin didn't say anything and just listened to Longao. Ignoring the miserable cries coming from all around, Longao rested for a few days before getting up to see how he could leave. He would deal with whatever came his way. Taking a step back, even if he and Song Lin were discovered by others, including the 10 universe rulers and the 9 half-step universe rulers, he could only deal with them by force. After all, what had happened couldn't be changed. Song Lin, is the situation here related to you? Looking at the silent Song Lin beside him, Long Ao smiled because even if Song Lin didn't say a word, he had already guessed that the situation here definitely had something to do with Song Lin. However, after thinking about it, he understood. Song Lin was not only a universe ruler, but also a universe ruler who controlled the power of primal chaos. Her strength was above other universe rulers. Such a super existence was not easy to deal with even if she was delirious. The reason Long Ao smiled was because his intuition told him that as long as Song Lin followed him, he would definitely be fine. A few days had proven that his guess was correct. Indeed, he didn't encounter any danger when Song Lin followed him. He could only hear the miserable cries coming from all around. Long Ao didn't continue to release his primordial spirit to sense. He just closed his eyes and led Song Lin forward. One step, one step, one step after another. After walking for an unknown period of time, Long Ao suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the dense forest behind him with a smile. It seemed that his guess was right. The situation here was indeed caused by Song Lin. As long as he took Song Lin with him, he could easily escape. But what about the next moment? Long Ao was very angry. He was angry at himself. He had clearly guessed it but didn't have time to act. He had already given everyone a chance. In particular, Gang Mu and the other two. If he didn't leave with Song Lin, given enough time, he believed that everyone, including Gang Mu and the other two, would have died in the forest. This was without a doubt. It was only because of his carelessness that he missed a great opportunity. It turned out, Long Ao had already guessed that the incident in the forest must be related to Song Lin. As long as Song Lin followed him, he would be safe and there wouldn't be any problems. However, if Song Lin left the forest, there was no doubt that the maze would disappear without a trace. At that time, everyone would be safe, including the three of them. But in the end, he wasn't prepared at all. He left with Song Lin just like that and the forest returned to peace. In this way, everyone, including the three of them, would be safe and sound. Long Ao didn't care about everyone's life and death. However, things had already come to this point and it was too late to regret. Just as Long Ao was about to leave, a steady stream of people came out of the dense forest, including Gang Mu and the other two. Long Ao saw everyone and they also saw Long Ao. Shit. Long Ao sighed inwardly. It seemed that if he wanted to hide this matter, he would have to kill everyone here. Otherwise, this secret would definitely be leaked. However, it would be a little difficult to kill everyone here. After all, in this situation, even if he was strong enough, there would be fishes that would escape the net. Unless he destroyed the entire plane, but that was a little unrealistic. Long Ao, hand over the white-clothed girl, kill. Everyone rushed toward Long Ao frantically. No matter what happened, they couldn't let Long Ao take the white-clothed girl away. Everyone knew that Long Ao was very resourceful. If Long Ao took the white-clothed girl away, who knew what would happen? Gang Mu and the other two weren't idle either. They also rushed toward Long Ao. Before they arrived, a terrifying force had already arrived. Chapter 2542. Ha! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Without a single bit of fear, Long Ao wielded his chaos axe and slashed out viciously at everyone. Long Ao's speed was extremely fast. Axe after axe, it was relentless. This time around, Long Ao was truly intent on killing. Being merciful to one's enemies was the cruelest thing one could do to oneself. Whether it was for himself or Song Lin, everyone here had to die. No one was to be spared. The cracks in the starry skies were howling continuously as they devoured everyone who came up. It would be a lie if one were to say that they weren't afraid of the horrifying cracks in the starry skies. Some of the Starry Skies cultivators did not even have the time to react before they were devoured by the cracks. In fact, they did not even have the time to scream before disappearing into thin air. The remaining people looked at everything that was happening in front of them. One by one, their faces changed as they looked on in shock. Longao's strength was simply way too strong. Longao's cultivation state had successfully broken through to Starry Sky Immortal state. He could kill all the Starry Skies cultivators of the same cultivation state as him in a second. Even Starry Sky Immortals might not be able to defend against him. Even Starry Sky Immortals at their limits would not be a match for Longao in a one-on-one fight, let alone ordinary Starry Skies cultivators. Everyone was completely terrified. Under Longao's relentless slashes, hundreds of people fell in just a few seconds. What sort of concept was this? 99% of the people here were afraid of death. One by one, they retreated, hoping to reap the benefit. Would Longao choose to give up just like that? If Longao chose to give up, he wouldn't be Longao anymore. Wielding the Chaos Axe, Longao's figure flashed continuously in and out of the void. Boom, boom, boom. The cracks in the starry skies were still devouring them. To take on tens of thousands of people alone, Longao's bravery was needless to say. Even the masses were a little afraid. One by one, they fell. Looking around, there were corpses everywhere. Corpses and bones were piled up like mountains. However, there were simply too many of them. Looking around, there were simply too many of them. Longao was also very depressed. It was really difficult for him to fight against so many people alone. Not only that, other than taking care of himself, Longao also had to take care of Songlin. Although Songlin was invincible at her peak, the current Songlin was a little special. In her delirious state, it was easy for others to control her. No matter what happened, no one was allowed to hurt Songlin. He kept retreating. If Longao were to charge forward bravely, no one would be a match for him. But now, the situation was a little special. In order to protect Songlin, Longao was helpless. Gradually, they were surrounded by many people. Gang Mu and the other two had not taken action earlier. They were also very wary of Longao's strength. Thus, they had allowed the others to fight Longao first while the three of them reaped the benefits. The time had come. Just as Longao retreated to protect Songlin, Gang Mu and the other two took advantage of the situation and attacked with all their might. 3 Pinnacle Universe Undyings and countless Universe Cultivators, such a force couldn't be underestimated. The slightest carelessness would lead to eternal damnation. If it had been someone else, Longao might have been able to lead them into the Primal Chaos Palace. He had full confidence in the Primal Chaos Palace. Not to mention ordinary Starry Sky cultivators, even half-step Starry Sky rulers or Starry Sky rulers couldn't lock onto his Primal Chaos Palace. But now? The situation was completely different. He didn't know why, but he couldn't enter the Primal Chaos Palace with Songlin. It was a little strange. Since he couldn't enter the Primal Chaos Palace, he could only choose to fight force with force. With Longao's current strength, plus Primal Chaos Axe, Primal Chaos 9 axes and space grasping, no one here could resist Longao. Even a Pinnacle Universe Undying wouldn't be able to kill Longao. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, no one would be willing to believe that Longao was so strong. Even if Longao was strong, he was only a Universe Undying. Even if he could kill Universe Cultivators of the same level, he couldn't deal with a Pinnacle Universe Undying. A Universe Undying and a Pinnacle Universe Undying were 2 different existences. The difference between the two was huge. They weren't even on the same level. Everyone felt helpless when the truth was turned upside down. Even so, for the Primal Chaos Tablet and Primal Chaos Energy of the white-robed girl, everyone attacked without hesitation despite their fear of Longao. As long as they could kill Longao, they could smoothly control the white-robed girl, and obtain the Primal Chaos Tablet and Primal Chaos Energy. When there was a great reward, there would be brave men. Even if Longao's strength was strong, he was gradually unable to resist and slowly retreated step by step with Song Lin. If this continued, it wouldn't be a solution. What should they do? Relying on his Primal Chaos 9 axes and space grasping, it was impossible to kill everyone. After retreating continuously, Longao's expression became more and more serious. Just when everyone was pleasantly surprised and thought that they could kill Longao, the situation suddenly changed. Song Lin, who hadn't spoken and wasn't in a clear state of mind, suddenly stretched out her right hand and gently made a gesture in front of everyone. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be affected by such a gentle stroke. However, Song Lin's situation was different. Everyone's expression changed completely as they looked at her in horror. There was no need to talk about Song Lin's strength. Although she wasn't in a clear state of mind, it wasn't difficult for her to control. The only helpless thing was that Song Lin would occasionally make a move. Just a casual move was enough to shock the world. With a loud boom, thousands of people were sent flying. Before they could even react, thousands of them had already lost their lives. Gang Mu and the other two had fled very quickly. If they had been even a little slower, they would have been killed by Yi Shiwen's attack. This level of strength was simply too terrifying. Thousands of people died in an instant. Such a situation was too terrifying. Everyone frantically retreated and looked at Song Lin in horror because no one was sure if Song Lin would make another move. This was just a casual stroke. If she made a few more strokes, or even a dozen or more strokes, then everyone here would probably die here. Not to mention the others. Even Gang Mu and the other two were a little shocked and didn't dare to take a step forward. Their faces were gloomy and as ugly as it could be because they didn't dare to continue attacking because they didn't know if Song Lin would make another move. If they lost their lives because of this, then the loss wouldn't make up for the gains. They were very depressed. They couldn't figure out why Song Lin didn't attack Longao but the others. Logically speaking, Song Lin's mind wasn't clear and she shouldn't know anyone. However, the result was like this. They couldn't figure it out, really couldn't figure it out. Chapter 2543. Longao was also a little dumbfounded. He also didn't expect Song Lin to suddenly attack at this time. Just a casual move was enough to kill thousands of people. If this were to happen a few more times, one could imagine what the consequences would be. However, Song Lin's mind wasn't clear, so she only attacked occasionally. Longao did not continue to stay, because he knew very well in his heart that with his own strength, it was impossible to kill everyone here. There was no point in staying. Taking advantage of Song Lin's attack, Longao turned and left quickly. In a short while, he disappeared without a trace. Everyone was very clear about Song Lin's situation. It was indeed so. Looking at Longao quickly fleeing into the distance, no one chose to give up. Each and every one of them madly chased endlessly. Longao's speed was very fast, especially after his cultivation broke through to Starry Sky Immortal Realm. Even a peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm expert wouldn't be faster than Longao. Regarding this point, Longao was still very confident. Using spatial teleportation continuously, Longao's speed had reached the limit. The peak of speed was spatial teleportation. However, many people knew that the true peak of speed wasn't spatial teleportation, but the so-called time teleportation. However, in the vast starry sky, there were very few people who could grasp spatial teleportation, and those who could grasp time teleportation were even rarer. It could be said that the speed of time teleportation was far superior to spatial teleportation. If he could grasp time teleportation, then even a half-step starry sky ruler might not be able to contend with him. In terms of speed, It would be a lie to say that he didn't want to grasp time teleportation. However, Longao didn't pursue time teleportation excessively because he knew that time teleportation still depended on luck. He originally thought that he wouldn't be able to grasp time teleportation, but the result gave Longao a huge shock. Just as he kept using spatial teleportation and raised his speed to the limit, the situation suddenly changed. His speed, which had already reached the peak, actually doubled. Doubled? What kind of concept was this? Longao's spatial teleportation was already very fast, and now that it doubled, perhaps even a peak starry sky immortal realm expert wouldn't be able to catch up to Longao. Time teleportation. He had actually managed to grasp the legendary time teleportation. Longao knew that even the current ruler of the starry sky of time, the so-called Dark Dragon, hadn't obtained the ability to teleport. If there were no accidents, he was probably the only one who had obtained time teleportation. Spatial teleportation and temporal teleportation were two completely different existences. They were not on the same level. The difference was too great. At the peak of the mountain, Longao stood against the wind, quietly standing at the peak of the mountain. Song Lin didn't say anything either. She just stared blankly at the endless void in the distance. He just stood there quietly. Time trickled by. After an unknown period of time. With a deep sigh, Longao muttered to himself helplessly, "Things are getting more and more complicated. It seems that I have to find a way to break through the limit of Starry Sky Immortal Realm first." Even if a Starry Sky Immortal could rely on his sure kill technique to contend against a peak Starry Sky Immortal, it wouldn't be of much use. Given his current strength, he could only watch helplessly if he encountered a half-step Starry Sky ruler. The only way. He had to do everything he could to break through the limit of Starry Sky Immortal Realm. This way, even if he didn't have the devouring secret realm, he could rely on his various sure kill techniques to contend against a half-step Starry Sky ruler. However, the realm wasn't something that could be broken through at any time. Under normal circumstances, with his cultivation speed, it shouldn't be difficult to break through from Starry Sky Legend to Starry Sky Immortal Realm. But the result? It took him more than 200 years to break through from Starry Sky Legend to Starry Sky Immortal Realm. If he hadn't fused with the Chaos 9-colored lotus, who knew how long it would have taken him to break through from Starry Sky Legend to Starry Sky Immortal Realm? It had already subverted his cultivation speed. Longao felt helpless. If he followed the previous example, he didn't know how long it would take for him to break through from Starry Sky Immortal Realm to Starry Sky Immortal Realm. It was really depressing. Because of his physique, the current situation seemed to be very unfavorable for him. Even if he devoured the mysterious energy in the Chaos Palace, his cultivation couldn't increase, let alone a terrifying increase. What should he do to break through from Starry Sky Immortal Realm to Starry Sky Immortal Realm in the shortest time possible? Chi. Right at this moment, Longao's face changed and he said coldly, "Since you're here, please show yourself." Longao was curious. Although the other party hadn't shown himself, he could clearly sense that the other party was a half-step Starry Sky Dominator. In the vast Starry Sky, there were a total of 9 Starry Sky Dominators from the 9 great Starry Sky Empires. The 9 Starry Sky Dominators were Bai Jing from the first Starry Sky Empire, Zhuge Ming from the second Starry Sky Empire, Gong Sun He from the third Starry Sky Empire, Xia Feng from the fourth Starry Sky Empire, Zhou Bolai from the fifth Starry Sky Empire, Lu Mu from the sixth Starry Sky Empire, Kong Xiao from the seventh Starry Sky Empire, Fang Buping from the 8th Starry Sky Empire, and Wei Bujing from the 9th Starry Sky Empire. Longao was very clear about the aura of the 9 half-step Starry Sky Dominators. Other than the 9 of them, he couldn't think of any other half-step Starry Sky Dominator in the vast Starry Sky. Although he had never heard of a 10th half-step starry sky dominator in the vast starry sky, Longao was sure that other than the 9 half-step starry sky dominators, there must be other half-step starry sky dominators. Who was it? Why was this person able to locate him? Everything about this was a mystery. The void rippled, and in the next second, a loud dragon's roar rang through the entire world. Under Longao's surprised gaze, a purplish-black figure appeared. Long Tu? You know who I am? The middle-aged man was surprised. He had not expected the other party to know who he was at first glance. Looking at Longao in front of him, Long Tu suddenly began to laugh crazily. If not for the dragon's roar, Longao would not have guessed the middle-aged man's identity so quickly. Because in the vast starry sky, out of all the people he knew, only the old ancestor of the dragon race, Long Tu, had managed to become a half-step starry sky dominator. Furthermore, he guessed that since Long Tu was still in seclusion even though he was already a half-step starry sky dominator, the only possibility was that Long Tu had obtained the Chaos Stone Tablet and was preparing to go into seclusion to cultivate it and break through to starry sky dominator. Chapter 2544. Longao, you're really smart. To think that you could guess who I am. Fearless. Even if Long Tu was a half-step star ruler, Longao had no fear at all. It was still the same statement. Even if he could not kill Long Tu, with the protection of the Chaos Palace, he believed that even Long Tu would not be able to lock onto the location of the Chaos Palace. Long Tu, our relationship is destined. Let's cut the crap. Ha 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 ha. Long Tu laughed out maniacally once more as his face was filled with praise. Long Tu naturally knew of Longao's identity and background. For him to be able to come this far, he could be considered to have truly witnessed the legendary Longao. Great Longao. Let's be frank. I'm not here to deal with you this time around. As long as you hand over all your secrets, not only can I write off all the grudges between us, I can even help you deal with the 9 great star empires. How about that? Roping. A blatant attempt at roping. Of course, Long Tu knew that the fact that Longao could survive till now under the combined attacks of the 9 great star empires spoke volumes. He still did not have full confidence. Long Tu was afraid that he could not kill Longao. If he were to miss the chance, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him. How could Longao not know what Long Tu was thinking? He scoffed coldly. Long Tu, seems like you still don't understand me. If I were to choose to compromise, I wouldn't have waited until now. I would have done so long ago. Why should I compromise with you? Long Tu was not enraged in the least bit. After all, he knew Longao's character well. If Longao were to choose to compromise so easily, he would not be Longao anymore. Longao, I know that you have a heaven-defying weapon in your hands. Even if it's a half-step star ruler, you won't have to fear it. But to me, that's nothing. Long Tu's meaning was clear. Even if the 9 half-step star rulers of the 9 great star empires could not do it, it did not mean that he could not. However, Longao chuckled out, not bothered at all. Long Tu, I'm curious. Let me ask you a question. I hope you can answer truthfully. Long Slayer did not say anything and agreed. Dragon Slayer, under normal circumstances, since you've already become a half-step starry sky ruler, why are you still in seclusion? He seemed to have guessed something. Longao, I know what you want to ask. Longao nodded with a smile and said, If that's the case, then please answer me. Unable to answer. He wasn't surprised at all. The matter of the primal chaos stone tablet itself was the biggest problem. If Long Slayer became a starry sky ruler, there wouldn't be any problems. However, the problem now was that Long Slayer hadn't become a starry sky ruler yet. Longao was only a half-step starry sky ruler. Once news of him possessing a primal chaos tablet spread out, things would get troublesome. Even if he wasn't afraid of the others, how could he not be afraid of the oracle? Longao was almost certain that if Master Clairvoyant and the others found out that Long Tu possessed the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, then Master Clairvoyant would definitely seize the opportunity to kill Long Tu and seize the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet before Long Tu became a ruler of the starry sky. Did the Dragon Slayer devour the Primal Chaos Tablet or not? Is there? Or isn't there? Longao wasn't completely sure. Under normal circumstances, if Long Tu really did devour the Primal Chaos Tablet, then he would definitely continue his seclusion to refine it. But the result? Long Tu didn't continue his seclusion and instead came to find him. Perhaps Long Tu didn't devour the Primal Chaos Tablet at all and chose to continue his seclusion because of other matters. Longao, I'll give you one last chance. Are you going to hand it over or not? Nope. Long Tu didn't seem to know about the white-clothed girl. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ignored her existence. Longao was helpless. If he hadn't called Song Lin, then he could have entered the Primal Chaos Palace at any time. However, with Song Lin as a concern, if he couldn't enter the Primal Chaos Palace and chose to fight force with force, then he would be the one to suffer in the end. There was no doubt about that. Looking at Longao, Long Tu's expression slowly turned cold. He said coldly, Longao, I consider you a talent. If you insist on being stubborn, then don't blame me for being impolite. Long Tu let out a dragon roar that resounded throughout the world. Half-step starry sky rulers were also divided into different levels. For example, among the 9 half-step starry sky rulers, Bai Jing's strength was slightly stronger. As for Long Tu, not only was the secret realm he devoured powerful, but his physique was also very special. With the combination of the two, his strength was much higher than the 9 half-step starry sky rulers. Just his aura alone was very powerful. If it were anyone else, the aura released by Long Tu would have been enough to intimidate them. Only Longao chose to ignore it. Longao's strength might not be as strong as Long Tu, but the power of his primordial spirit was probably similar to Long Tu's. In that case, it was simply impossible for Long Tu to rely on his primordial spirit to suppress Longao. There was no movement at all. Long Tu was shocked because he had full confidence in the power of his primordial spirit. Not to mention a starry sky immortal expert, even an ultimate starry sky immortal expert might not be able to resist the suppression of his primordial spirit. It seemed that Longao was really not simple. However, after thinking about it, he understood what kind of existence Longao was to provoke 9 half-step starry sky rulers and survive until now. However, if he didn't see it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. If Longao was an ultimate starry sky ruler, Long Tu could have accepted it. However, it turned out that Longao wasn't an ultimate starry sky immortal expert, but a starry sky immortal expert. It was really hard to accept. Originally, Long Tu didn't want to take action at all. After all, even he wasn't fully confident. Otherwise, how could he, a half-step starry sky ruler, talk so much nonsense? However, things had already come to this point. Long Tu knew that he had to take action. Otherwise, it would be superfluous no matter how much nonsense he said. It was better to end this as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Long Tu didn't continue to talk nonsense. At the same time, a dragon roar resounded. He took a stride forward and quickly rushed towards Longao. Long Tu sneered. Longao held the Primal Chaos Axe in his hand and directly rushed towards Long Tuesday. The combination of the Primal Chaos 9 axes and the Starry Sky Mastery had an unimaginable power. Until now, Long Tu still didn't know that Longao could shatter the starry sky. Otherwise, Long Tu would have been prepared. Long Tu was caught off guard and looked down on Longao. In this way, countless cracks in the starry sky appeared in the surroundings. Long too was completely frightened because he never thought that Long Ao's strength could shatter the starry sky. Chapter 2545. Of course, Long Slayer knew what the starry sky crack meant. Even if his cultivation had broken through to the half-step starry sky ruler, it was impossible for him to resist the starry sky crack head-on. If it were anyone else, they would have been intimidated by Long Ao's shattered starry sky. However, Long Slayer's situation was a little different. As one of the 6 peak races, Long Slayer had single-handedly created the peak dragon race. One could imagine how powerful Long Slayer was. Long Slayer's speed was very fast. Originally, Long Ao already had time teleportation. Even if there was a big difference in strength, there should not be much of a difference in speed. In the end, Long Ao's shattered starry sky could not destroy Long Slayer at all. In the end, Long Slayer's speed was too fast. Long Slayer's conditions were excellent. It could be said that Long Slayer was the ancestor of the dragon race in the vast starry sky and countless plains. If this continued, it would not be a solution. What should he do? Long Ao's expression was very ugly. As a half-step starry sky ruler, there were differences in strength. Compared to Long Slayer, the 9 half-step starry sky rulers of the 9 great starry skies were still a little inferior. Long Slayer's speed was much faster than Long Ao had imagined. Even if Long Slayer's speed could not resist time teleportation, his physique made up for it. Before Long Ao could react, Long Slayer's figure had already arrived in front of him. What kind of concept was this? Long Ao was also a little dumbfounded because he had never expected Long Slayer's speed to be so fast. It was so fast that it was a little unbelievable. Even compared to his time teleportation, it was not much different. Long Slayer's strength was very powerful. His hands were unpredictable, and he continuously attacked Long Ao's body. With Long Slayer's powerful strength and speed, in just a few seconds, Long Ao had been hit hundreds of times in a row. In the next second, Long Ao's body was like a kite with a broken string as he flew backward. Long Slayer was a little shocked because he had never expected that Long Ao would be able to survive after taking hundreds of his palms. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, it would have been unbelievable. Long Slayer had full confidence in his own strength. Not to mention the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, even the peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm could only take 3 palms at most. But what was the result now? It was unbelievable. Seeing Long Ao flying backward, Long Slayer did not choose to give up. Instead, he chased after Long Ao. From the beginning until the end, Song Lin didn't make another move. It was still the same sentence. Song Lin was currently delirious. No one knew when she would make a move. He still had to rely on himself. Just as Long Slayer chased after him, Long Ao, who was in midair, turned around and disappeared from Long Slayer's sight. Where is he? Seeing Long Ao, who was still there just now, suddenly disappear without a trace, Long too was completely dumbfounded. Although he had heard that Long Ao possessed a heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine artifact, and that even the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers of the 9 great Starry Sky empires couldn't do anything to Long Ao, he still found it hard to believe. He had never seen such a heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool. It was very greedy. Of course, Long Slayer knew what Long Ao's heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool meant. If he could get this heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. By then, he could completely ignore anyone below the Starry Sky ruler. However, the current situation was very unfavorable for him. Long Ao had successfully entered the Starry Sky Divine tool, and he was afraid of that. He thought that with his speed and strength, he could kill Long Ao before Long Ao entered the Starry Sky Divine tool. In that case, not only could he kill Long Ao, but he could also get all the secrets on Longao. Long Slayer couldn't figure out how Longao did it. How could he be fine after taking hundreds of his palms? What was the reason? There was only one possibility, and that was that Longao had a heaven-defying defensive Starry Sky Divine tool that could withstand hundreds of his palms. Whether it was Longao's defensive Starry Sky Divine tool or his spatial Starry Sky Divine tool, they were both rare heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tools. If he could get such a heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool, he would be like adding wings to a tiger. He didn't even dare to think about it. Who was Longao? How could he have both a spatial Starry Sky Divine tool and a defensive Starry Sky Divine tool at the same time? He believed that even other half-step Starry Sky rulers couldn't get such a heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool. Inside the Primal Chaos Palace, Longao's face was extremely pale and ugly. If he hadn't merged with the Primal Chaos 9-colored lotus, he would have died this time. Not to mention taking hundreds of palms, he wouldn't even be able to withstand dozens of palms. Even so, his injuries were still serious. If he hadn't entered the Primal Chaos Palace in time, according to the speed and strength of the attacks, the 9 lives he had reproduced from the Primal Chaos 9-colored lotus would have been destroyed by Long 2 one by one in half an hour at most. At that time, he would undoubtedly die. Longao took a deep breath. He didn't expect Long 2 to be so powerful. As a half-step Starry Sky ruler, the other 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers couldn't bring him such danger. Long 2 was really the first person. No wonder he could lead the Dragon Clan to become one of the 6 peak clans. Outside the Primal Chaos Palace, seeing that Longao had disappeared and hid in the Starry Sky Divine tool, Long 2 felt very regretful. If he had attacked with his full strength just now, the result might not have been like this. All of a sudden, Long 2 looked at the white-clothed girl not far away. He was very curious because he sensed a trace of danger from the white-clothed girl. He was very shocked. In the entire vast starry sky, there were only a few people who could bring him danger, except for the 12 starry sky rulers. He didn't dare to attack casually because he didn't have full confidence, and he didn't know how strong the white-clothed girl was. Could it be that he was thinking too much? If the white-clothed girl could really bring him danger, then why didn't she help Longao when he killed Longao just now? Looking at the white-clothed girl's blank face and empty eyes, Long 2 became more and more curious. He had to try. Otherwise, how could he know how strong the white-clothed girl was? If he missed this opportunity because of himself, then he wouldn't even have the chance to regret. Step by step, Long 2 walked towards the white-clothed girl. Looking at the delirious white-clothed girl, Long 2 gradually found that the white-clothed girl in front of him seemed to be a little special. If that was the case, even if the white-clothed girl was strong, she wouldn't be a threat to him. The white-clothed girl and Longao stood together. Although he wasn't sure about the relationship between the two, he still had to try. If Longao appeared because of the white-clothed girl, then it would be a good thing for him. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.